Ayang, Le Tongue. Bergota kuikan Hilo parunderun Hiwendel yu his plan His gota roger cigarette Haji gochis mon His akobot Git Yachifon si chodergon In he daddy's closet In a box of funding Andoni vino wakat But he's coming for you Yeah, he's coming for you All the other king, gida pampara kitu veteran, antro my gong. All the other king, gida pampara kitu veteran, faster than my ballet. All the other king, gida pampara kitu veteran, antro my gong. All the other king, gida pampara kitu veteran, faster than my ballet. Bergota kuikan Hilo parunderun Hiwendel yu his plan His gota roger cigarette Haji gochis mon His akobot Git Yachifon si chodergon In he daddy's closet In a box of funding Andoni vino wakat But he's coming for you Yeah, he's coming for you All the other king, gida pampara kitu veteran, antro my gong. All the other king, gida pampara kitu veteran, faster than my ballet. All the other king, gida pampara kitu veteran, antro my gong. All the other king, gida pampara kitu veteran, faster than my ballet. Rang, hiding exists. Let's go! Yeah, yeah! Bergota cuincan Kilo garunderun Hiwendel yu his plan His gota roller cigarette Allí gochis His akobot Git Yachifon si chodergon In he daddy's closet In a box of funding Andoni vino wakat But he's coming for you Yeah, he's coming for you All the other kids Gidan para kid You veteran Outro my gun All the other kids Gidan para kid You veteran Faster than my band All the other kids Gidan para kid You veteran Outro my gun All the other kids Gidan para kid You veteran Faster than my band pants. Kilogaron de un tiguantel, yuki blanc, esgota rolle cigarret. Allí con Gilmón, y sa cowboy, ya chifón, si chotargón. Y gira di closet, y na bolso funding, ando ni bono ajat. Pa que come fuyu, ya que come forju. Al dio del kit, y damba para kit, you bederan, outro macon. Al dio del kit, y damba para kit, you bederan, faster the maman. Al dio del kit, y damba para kit, you bederan, outro macon. Al dio del kit, y damba para kit, you bederan, faster the maman. I love the whole world. Al dio del kit, y damba para kit, you bederan, outro macon. Al dio del kit, y damba para kit, you bederan, faster the maman. Al dio del kit, y damba para kit, you bederan, outro macon. Al dio del kit, y damba para kit, you bederan, faster the maman. Al dio del kit, y damba para kit, you bederan, outro macon. Al dio del kit, y damba para kit, you bederan, faster the maman. Al dio del kit, y damba para kit, you bederan, outro macon. Al dio del kit, y damba para kit, you bederan, faster the
Aha! Hello, hello. How's it going, everybody? Oh, look at us streaming on YouTube as well. Ooh. Hey, Bunker, how's it going, mate? Long time no see. And how's it going, nah? Hope you're doing alright. Oh, buddy. Oh. Big stretch. Fuck me. 7:30 p.m. Oh, fuck. Just been busy doing all manner of shit today. Mostly cleaning around the house. Go fucking clean the upstairs, clean the downstairs. Do some exercise, getting back into that. Do me fucking laundry. A lot of time eating, really. Oh, I need to get to bed earlier. That's probably what I should do. Oh well. We're gonna go back to doing some work on the old Ravenous Commission. Sorry for the taking too long in the intro. Just sorting out some shit in the background. Oh, and we're gonna watch some fucking more shit on Lily Orchard. Ooh. Mainly we're gonna be opening up them closets and seeing what skeletons jump out. That sounds like fun. Oh, and if you don't know who this is, Bunker, is no worries, bud. Don't worry about it. Can't begrudge someone for wanting to have fun. Hang on. Gotta go fucking sort out my bloody desktop. Finish off some of the liner, and then we'll get to the shading of the armor. That's the one that's going to be fully shaded, and then we'll just do the base colors for the other ones. Oopsie doodles. Oh, don't worry, I haven't missed much. She was basically just highlighting a bunch of different shows and how they're aimed at children, and now she's given a content warning.
Blurred sexual imagery, gaslighting, victim blaming, and indecent
She, quote unquote. Come on guys, it's current year.
exposure. If you like our work and appreciate the research put into each video, please consider supporting the channel via Patreon. You can also support us by
Also been
liking,
raining all fucking
commenting,
day.
and sharing our work on social media. Hi there, my name's Ethel Thurston.
No, you're lying to me.
About the ways in which Lily Orchard grooms the minors in her audience into engaging with her and her girlfriends sexually. This video is a follow-up on my previous expose in which we discussed Lily Orchard encouraging her then friend, Josh Scorcher, to groom Ink Rose, then age 17, which he ultimately did. And whilst Josh bears full responsibility for preying on Ink Rose,
YouTube,
it is also
Bunker
important
Housing,
that we
is
don't
it on
forget
now?
how
It is
people
indeed.
such
Over.
as Lily
Valord
normalised and
coward.
advocated for said
Oof,
grooming.
it's still
So that
cold as
video
fuck
is
here,
certainly
so
worth a
much
look
so the
if you
battery
have
on
the
my
time.
car won't start.
However, this is
Over.
not the only time Lily has encouraged minors to engage in inappropriate behaviour, nor is it her most blatant violation. And whilst we will unpack Lily's approach as a whole regarding her content and the way in which she grooms all minors within her audience, I want to cut straight to the chase and get to first-hand testimony by one of Lily's victims, Glade, who some of you might know as the graceful writer.
Hi, I'm Glade. I'm a 20-year-old who joined Lily's Discord about 3 years ago while I was 17. I was a fan of Lily because I was sorely lacking in
Restream
remote
bot.
leftist content on
YouTube, Bunker
At that point,
Housing.
I
I
was already
found
watching her
something. It is
content
many years
because
old,
I
but
liked
it
her
looks
analysis
like
of
your
TV
work.
shows.
Over.
At the
Oh,
point of
joy.
leaving room, I was already a thoroughly groomed
Restream
16-year-old
bot.
who had just gotten out of a
YouTube,
relationship
Bunker
with the person
Housing.
who was grooming
It
me.
is. Over.
This was a clear advantage for Lily.
Restream bot.
As I watched Flaming Groom's
YouTube,
addendum,
Bunker Housing. I wonder if you were involved in this. Over.
Random.
Restream bot. YouTube, Bunker Housing. Nkivuk 0.
Oh,
Over.
thank you, and I said, nah.
Great job on that last battle, Pikachu.
No. I'm nowhere near that popular to be involved in something like this.
Look at all this cash we won.
Help.
I mean, 10 years ago, I would have been like, what, 17, 18? So I was far too busy getting involved in criminal activity, eh? A lot of drugs, a lot of addiction, wee bit of homelessness
Restream
sprinkled in
bot.
the middle.
YouTube, Bunker Housing. Sound like your voice. Over.
Where's Hi-Fi Tunes? Is he one of them guys? I don't know if he's a guy. Here we go, we'll just watch it.
Meanwhile,
So what's the deal with us? Are we like dating or
it's just
what?
I'm
what
not
are we-
looking for a
Restream bot.
relationship right now.
You mean not with a
YouTube,
woman?
Bunker Housing. It is really funny.
Yeah, buddy,
Over.
I have seen this. I do remember watching this back in the day.
Oh.
Valord
Prepare for
Howard.
trouble.
Shut the fuck
Oh
up.
shit, I
Go
remember
get him,
this.
Pikachu.
Over.
Go get him, ass! Go, Muck!
Pikachu, use Thunderbolt.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Muck, use acid!
Looks like it's ineffective. Pikachu, use Thunder. Pikachu? What's the matter, Pikachu?
Acid doesn't hit that quickly. See, let me tell you something from what I was doing during this time period. Acid doesn't hit that quickly. It takes about an hour and a half to kick in. Even the most powerful shit.
Restream bot. YouTube, Bunker Housing. Yeah, it escalates quickly. Over. Restream bot. YouTube, Bunker Housing.
Great
It's
job
really
on that
funny.
last battle, Pikachu.
Over.
Muck, use acid!
Valor coward.
Ash!
But didn't Pikachu take a higher dose?
Ted?
Over.
Muck, use acid! Go!
The dosage wouldn't matter. The increasing the dosage will change how hard the trip hits, but all trips, no matter how much LSD you take, will all take about the same amount of time to kick in. Because that's just how the body works.
Restream bot.
The
YouTube.
chemicals in the acid.
Bunker housing. Well, these are Pokemons. Probably faster metabolism. Over.
Yeah, I guess
Valor
that's
coward.
technically true, but...
And isn't that a rat? Over.
I guess that's technically true. But hey, I've never studied the effects of psychedelic and hallucinogenic drugs on a Pokemon, especially Poopachus, alright? That's some good content idea. How would Pokemon react to drugs?
Maxolotl 21. You.
Hey,
Over.
how's it going, Maxolot? Maxolot. Maxolotl. Oh, I get it, like an axolotl. Axolotl. The eel fish thingy. I'm just gonna call you Maxolot until I learn how to pronounce it correctly. Look, I ain't well known for me intelligence, alright, mate? But how you doing, Max?
Hey, get off of me! I'm a Pokemon! 6th generation.
Ted?
Hey, where you going? God, I'm lonely.
Ted?
Maxolotl 21. I'm good, but also it's a 2 a.m. coffee day. Over.
A 2 a.m. coffee day. 2 a.m. Where are you then? You must be in America, right? That's Americano, yeah?
Valord coward. West Coast.
Yeah, buddy.
Over.
I'm getting good at this.
Maxolotl 21. Murica.
Yeah, buddy.
Over. Restream bot. YouTube. Bunker housing. How is life going? Do you have winter in Australia now?
No,
Over.
it's summer. You know what that means? All hell breaks loose. We've had cyclones that have destroyed one of the major cities up north. Well, not a city, it's a tourist destination.
Restream bot.
Who cares about
YouTube.
that?
Bunker housing. Woohoo Sweden here.
Mm-hmm.
Fought the win. It is 1044 hours here.
Okay.
Over. Valord coward. Weight maximum. Are you from California?
Mm-hmm.
Over. Restream bot.
Oops, I don't listen to all the
YouTube. B Hendrix. Yeah,
Hey.
buddy.
How's it going,
Over.
B. Hendrix? The prodigal? Is that the right word? Prodigal. I think it's prodigal. The prodigal son of Jimi Hendrix. How you guys doing, eh? Hang on. Frothing at the mouth. I don't recall that being a symptom of acid. Acid makes you chew on things. Kind of like ecstasy. You'll get that with your mouth. You'll just start like chewing on the air. This can lead to problems with people grinding their teeth. That's why if you ever see like hardcore techno raves, there's all the people with the ravers have pacifiers. That's because they're high on LSD, and so they have a pacifier in their mouth to chew on that. A little safety tip, not that you should do drugs, but if you do LSD, always bring a stack of
Restream
gum
bot.
with you to chew on.
YouTube. Bunker housing. Aside from the time to effect, is the experience correct?
And
Over.
not really.
Valord coward. Wait for real.
Yeah.
Over.
That's why.
Valord coward. I thought it was just some gay bullshit.
Nah.
Over.
There was an actual pragmatic reason behind it, a utilitarian reason to why ravers always have pacifiers. It's because they're high on LSD, and LSD makes you unwittingly chew on things, so they get pacifiers so they can chew on the pacifiers so they don't fuck up their teeth. And overdosing on LSD doesn't make you froth at the mouth. It causes high blood pressure, so that's actually heart attacks. That's your big problem with LSD. You're going to have a heart attack and dehydrate, which it can also cause you to pass out. Dehydration and high blood pressure are typically the reason someone overdoses on LSD. However, all the pretty colors and crazy shit like this, you know, this is half true. Because obviously acid is a hallucinogenic. You do see shit that isn't there. But, and look, I ain't no hardcore. I have been so hardcore parkour, I haven't done like fucking 10 tabs in one go or anything like that. But,
Restream bot.
it does.
YouTube. B. Hendrix. Have you heard the Kitaiman sea shanty? I think you should give it a listen. Over.
If it's anything like the RuneScape sea shanty, I will.
Restream bot. YouTube. B. Hendrix. Sometime.
I'll keep that in mind.
Over.
You wouldn't hallucinate. Again, I've never done 10 tabs at once, but I've never been, when I've done acid, I've never been to a point where I've been so high that I'm having a full out-of-body experience. You still remain pretty grounded in the world you're in. It's mainly that everything you see in the world has been distorted through the hallucinogen, which is acid. Let me go over some of the things that I saw when I was high on acid. The textures on like a tree bark, those would move, sometimes even shaping up faces and stuff like that. If you stare down like a road that curves, that curved road will start like swirling like a snake. Looking at colors, you know, like those kaleidoscopes, how like you turn them and it'll start displaying all these different colors. Kind of seeing the world is like seeing through a kaleidoscope. I remember one time when I was trying to like change songs on my phone, all the letters on the phone was spinning around in one place, just spinning around on the one place. Colors obviously come across as a lot more vibrant. You hallucinate and do weird shit like being able to hear colors. Hilarious. I did that one time. Heard colors. Hilarious. But basically it's not going to give you an out-of-body experience. If you want like an out-of-body experience, you're going to have to do something like, I probably shouldn't tell you. I just remembered I'm on YouTube. I probably shouldn't go into too much detail. But I'm just going to say that now.
Restream bot. YouTube. Bunker housing. Did you get addicted?
Nah.
Over.
Look, acid is fun, but I'm fully aware of the dangers of it. I only ever did acid for special occasions, like there was a party or like some big festival going on. I never did LSD casually. There was only one time I did LSD casually, and that's because one of the guys, the guy who gave me the LSD, did it to me as a gift because I helped him.
Dude, there are people who talk about the process of robbing banks and how to lockpick. You're good. Over.
I guess. You know what Americans are like with drugs. But yeah, look, you're gonna need some far harder hallucinogens to get yourself an out-of-body experience. Or who knows, maybe you'd have to take a fuckload of acid, but then again, I've never done that much acid, and I don't know anyone else that's done so much acid to such a degree that they've had an out-of-body experience. Typically, if a person... so I'll tell you one of the main dangers of LSD and casually doing LSD. doing LSD too much, because LSD basically, I can't remember exact details, but it basically triggers a release of neurochemicals, which is basically brain-related chemicals, and that's what creates the hallucinogenic effect. If you take LSD constantly, you can damage your brain by basically creating dead zones in your neural network, because constant use of LSD fucks with the neurocircuitry of your brain, which is basically how the neurons in your brain communicate with each other. So people who do too much LSD end up becoming fully disconnected from reality and going off the deep end. Like, I've known some people that did LSD casually, and then within like 4 or 5 years, they're in insane asylums and shit like that. They need constant external care because they're just fucked in the brain. They can't function anymore. Because it will do that. So there you go, there's your PSA, kids. Don't do acid. It's gonna fry your brain. It will. And again, even those guys who did acid casually, I've never heard of them talk about a story where they've had a full out-of-body experience. A lot of it is just having a hallucinogenic view of the world. But obviously these big out-of-body experiences are just synonymous with drugs on the whole. You know, there's all sorts of shit, like even smoking pot is supposed to give you these weird out-of-body experiences, where they don't. Not really.
Restream bot. YouTube. Bunker housing. Muck. Use acid. Over.
Yeah, buddy. Okay, so the only ones I really know of giving out-of-body experiences is nitrous, mainly because that basically makes you pass out. THC, which is the same chemical, it's called the dream drug because THC is the same chemical your brain releases when it's asleep. So that gives you out-of-body experiences. If you ever see people high on THC, they like smoke THC, wander around for a little bit, then they'll just lay on the ground and pass out, basically, and just have a whole out-of-body experience. Those are the ones I know for certain. And I think catnip can give you an out-of-body experience, but I'm not too sure. I think that's it. Well, at least those are the only two I can confirm. Nitrous and THC, if you want a full out-of-body experience, which is basically you pass out. Because that's just what the drugs do.
Restream bot. YouTube. Bunker housing. Did you ever take the vac? Over.
The vac. What, the fucking coronavirus vaccines? I mean, hey, I'm just gonna answer yes regardless. I've taken a lot of vaccines.
Valord coward. Most I taken was morphine. Over.
Morphine doesn't really give you out-of-body experiences. Like, again, all drugs can give you...
Restream bot.
Like, out of...
YouTube. Bunker housing. Corona vac.
Yeah, buddy.
Over.
Bro, the government's giving me free drugs. Of course I'm gonna take it.
And that was surgery related. Over.
Like, I guess you can always have an out-of-body experience if you fall asleep and you're really high. But I mean, they're not proper out-of-body experiences. Ultimately, you're just dreaming.
Restream
You're
bot.
not really conscious.
YouTube. Bunker housing. Hard to evade the vac in Australia. Over.
Kind of, but not really. I mean, there's still plenty of people that aren't vaccinated, but I mean, Australia is just generally a pro-vaccination society. I mean, vaccinations is just readily available and easy to get a hold of. And we have pretty high drug and medical standards, but not America. I mean, I got my first vaccine unintentionally.
Restream bot.
I just happened to.
YouTube. Bunker housing. I had corona, so after that I did not see the point in taking vac. Over.
I didn't even
Valord
get
coward.
the coronavirus.
American number 1.
Oh, you want to know what, Bunker?
Over.
There was one time in the share house I was living at. One of the guys who lived there, his sister came back with the coronavirus, then he got the coronavirus. So the other two people I was living with both had the coronavirus, and I was the only one that didn't have it. And I wanted to get the coronavirus because then, it's good for the immune system if you get it. So I was literally smoking out of the same bong as my mate. Like, basically just everything short of just fucking ripping out his lungs and sucking on
Valord
those.
coward.
And I still didn't get the coronavirus.
You're welcome for all the medicine I gave you.
Yeah, apparently.
Over.
So even when I tried to get the coronavirus, I still couldn't get it. Aw. Sad face. But yeah, when I went to get the vaccine, I just happened to be passing the vaccination shelter. And I was like, on my way to my old man's place, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going past here. I might as well pop in and see how I get the vaccine. Walk in and I'm just like, hey, I'm here to inquire about getting a vaccine. And they're like, oh, have you gotten a vaccine? I'm like, no. And they're like, do you want one? I'm like, yeah. And they're like, alright, come on in. It'll only take a few minutes. I'm like, alright, whatever. And I just got vaccinated. The end.
Restream bot. YouTube. Bunker housing. Coronavac is not the same as normal vaccines. It is actually not completely correct to classify the corona shot as a vaccine. It was only classified like that for political reasons, not scientific.
Oh, here we go.
Over.
By all means, Bunker, indulge us. Indulge us with your expert opinion on vaccination, on the coronavirus vaccination. This is going to be good. Everyone grab a chair.
Restream bot. YouTube. Bunker housing. Normal vaccine. Contains bits of original virus. This have been the true definitive vac. Over.
That's
Valord
not
coward.
true at all.
You know, if I remember correctly, you two argued about this years ago too.
Most likely.
Over.
Bunker, a vaccine is anything that has
Restream
a
bot.
copy of the original
YouTube.
virus.
Bunker housing. Coronavac is an artificial construct that tries to artificially look like a single piece of the coronavirus.
Yeah, that is a vaccine.
Over. Valord coward. Yeah, I remember.
Okay,
now.
let me give you a bit of
Over.
a evolution of vaccines history lesson for you, mate. The first vaccines done in the ancient world were basically less dangerous versions of far more dangerous strains. One of the most earliest examples was in China. They used to infect people with chickenpox. Basically get people to smoke.
Restream bot. YouTube. Bunker housing. We always find something to argue about. That is why we are beast friends. Smiling face with hearts.
You always find
Over.
something to argue about because you watch too much propaganda, mate. That's your problem. But the earliest vaccines, dating all the way back to China, ancient China, they used less dangerous versions of far more dangerous strains of diseases to help vaccinate people. So the Chinese government, I can't remember exactly, I assume it was the Han Empire, they would infect people with chickenpox to build their body's immunity to the pox strain of diseases. So by infecting people with chickenpox, it made them more likely to survive smallpox, which was a far more dangerous pox to deal with. But obviously that
Restream
led to a
bot.
whole bunch of other problems.
YouTube. Bunker housing. It is okay, I just have to learn the whole world what is right. Winking face. Over.
Spoken like a true propagandist. But but obviously, infecting people with just straight chickenpox wasn't exactly the most reliable thing to do, as some people wouldn't survive the chickenpox, and even then it wouldn't reliably translate to dealing with the smallpox. They were ultimately two different diseases. Moving forward like 1,000 years, doctors started moving towards doing vaccines by getting dead versions of the disease. So they would get, for like smallpox, they would get dead versions of smallpox and start infecting people with that. And because it was a dead and what they assumed an active version, that would lead to greater odds of survival. And would help bolster the immunity of the people that were infected by it. Again, kind of worked, but sometimes what would seem dormant would not be dormant, and they would just straight infect people with like smallpox, and that would kill them. Or it might have been dormant at the time of injection, but they ended up reactivating it by putting it into a better environment.
YouTube. Bunker housing. That is, by the way, a Swedish culture. We Swedes believe we know best, and it is impossible for us to not understand how anyone cannot think like us. This is why Sweden is a hard country to immigrate to. Over.
Well, that's not what I heard. Oh well. Conflicting reports. I don't live in Sweden, I don't really care. But obviously with further advancements in technology, they were able to get basically full-on dead versions, no chance of revival, much smaller dosages of dead diseases so they can bolster the immunity. And that's exactly what you were referring to. But that's like in the 50s sort of thing.
YouTube. Bunker housing. Yeah, we Swedes are pretty insane.
But
Over.
So that's like the 50s to like the 90s. Not even the 90s, probably the 80s. As we head to the 90s and the 2000s and the modern day and age, scientific advancement, especially in the field of virology, is so advanced to such a degree that we don't need to inject people with dead versions of viruses. We can just fully synthetically recreate them.
Did you know Sweden and Denmark have the world record in most wars between each other? Over.
There you go. Further proof that the white race is definitely a thing, and they totally aren't going to kill each other at the first opportunity. There you go. But the in the modern day and age, we don't need to use dead versions of diseases at all. We can just straight synthetically create them. Because at the end of the day, because they're synthetically made, they can remove all the hazardous parts of the virus entirely. So it's completely dormant, can't be activated, and it's basically just a straight training routine for the body. Which is exactly what most of the coronavirus vaccines were. They are synthetic recreations of the coronavirus to train the body in how to deal with it. And by being synthetic recreation, the vaccines are 100% safe on the vaccine side of things. The real hazard in relation to modern vaccines isn't the vaccine itself, it's how the body reacts.
But scientists are humans, and now many are salted not because of xil but because of skin color. So I do not trust everything a scientist say. Over.
Many are selected not because of skill, because of skin color. I don't know what the fuck is going on in Sweden, but that's definitely not the case in America, and that's not the case in Australia, and that's not the case in the vast majority of the world. You don't get a free degree in virology or biology or whatever the fuck science you want to do just because of the color of your skin. You can get into these courses for the color of your skin, sure,
Bunker housing,
but that doesn't
ESG.
mean you're entitled to a qualification. You still have to go through testing and prove that you are, you know what you're talking about. You're still going to have to go through testing regardless. You don't get a free degree. Not in something like science or medicine. Because guess what? People's lives are on the line. So I don't know what's going on in Sweden, but that's certainly not the case in anywhere else in the world. You're going to need qualifications, and in order to get those qualifications, you're going to have to pass testing.
Restream bot. YouTube. Bunker housing. It is lies and coism all over again.
Oh, bud.
Over.
We got fucking isms coming in. Here we go. Let me look this up. Lens and chiism. Lens and chiism. Mesenchymism was a political campaign led by Soviet biologist Tolfim Lenkensteiner against genetics and science-based agriculture in the mid-20th century.
Restream
Rejecting
bot.
natural selection in favor of a form
YouTube.
of Lamarckianism,
Bunker
as
housing.
well as
Look
expanding
at
upon
all the
techniques
people
of
in America
randomization.
lying saying that giving trans medicines to minors have no effect. Over.
Yeah, but are all those people fucking scientists? And trans medicines, what trans medicines? They're gonna have to be more specific. You know, we're talking about science, you realize. You're gonna have to be very specific.
Restream bot. YouTube. Bunker housing. There are doctors.
Doctors
Over.
of what? Just because you're a doctor, that doesn't mean you're an expert in medicine. You realize that a doctorate is just a certificate. You can have a doctorate in IT.
Valord
You can have a
coward.
doctorate in fucking
I think he
geology.
means hormone blockers. Over.
I assume that's what he meant. But again,
Restream bot.
I don't exactly know. I'm
YouTube.
not gonna make assumptions
Bunker
for you.
housing. You know what they give to minors who the state have decreed is a girl and not a boy.
No, I don't. I
Over.
don't live in fucking America, you idiot.
Restream bot. YouTube. Bunker housing. Yeah, hormone blockers
And
among
again,
other things.
Bunker. America is 52 states, and of those I think it's 52 states, and of those 52 states, there's like several hundred million people. All right. And each state has its own independent laws. The states in America have a lot of autonomy. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I don't know where this is going on. I don't
Restream
know
bot.
which doctors you're talking about. I don't know what
YouTube.
drugs you're going
Bunker
on.
housing. In California.
Oh, in California. Oh, there you go. Bastion of America, California, with its rampant homelessness and out of control STDs. I mean, I don't know what you want me to say. California has way more fundamental problems than fucking kids taking hormone blockers, alright?
Valord coward.
You
LOL
know?
California.
It's like saying,
Over.
oh, did you know that there's child trafficking? It's out of control. Where? Oh, in Central Africa. Mate, Central Africa has way more fucking problems than that, alright?
Valord coward. California is capital F fucked.
Yeah, buddy.
Over. Restream bot. YouTube. Bunker housing. Yeah, USA is a republic of states. Did you know in some states you can make abortion in the 9th month?
I don't care, Bunker.
Over.
I don't live in America. I don't understand why you care. You don't live in America. That's their problem for them to deal with. You don't vote. What say do you have? I don't vote in America either. That's why I don't give a fuck.
You can keep him.
Here, let's watch the Kitty Man Sea Shanty. Let's see what this is. Trailer Park Boys. Ooh.
There once was a cat with a hungry belly. The name of the cat was Whiskers Jelly. His throat was dry and his paw was bare. Meow, me furry cats meow. Soon may the cavemen come with birds and mice and some tasty
Bunker
yums.
housing.
One
Yeah, America
day when the
bad.
critters come,
Hey,
we'll
that
eat till our
tuber
bellies
avatar,
are
does it
full.
film you with a
While
camera
Charlie
to
got his
mimic
boys
you?
and they gathered round.
Over.
They scattered seeds from a sack they found.
Yeah. It's there's a video camera and shit like that to get all the recording. It's not a very high quality camera, so obviously the facial recording isn't very good. You get the point. You get the point. It's something to look at.
Was bored and morale had dipped till one of the seeds grew green catnip. They snipped and they stacked and they all got ripped. They all had a meow that night. Soon may the cavemen come with birds and mice and some tasty nums. One day when the critters come, we'll eat till our bellies are full. While their heads were humming when the morn was nigh. The nip was strong and they all got high. Their bellies were shrunk and their bowls still dry. Oh, bring us some ice today. Soon may the caiman come with birds and mice and some tasty nums. One day when the traders come, we'll eat till our bellies are full.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, nice. Alright, now we listen to the RuneScape. Sea shanty chitty. Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy.
When you write, your tone influences
Shut up.
how readers respond. With Grammarly,
Shut up,
just highlight
Grammarly.
your text and
The stream bot. YouTube, bunker housing, shanties are always interesting. Over.
I used to be a sailor once. I'm still a pirate though. Ooh, 1700 sea shanty.
The stream bot. YouTube, bunker housing, hot Russian girl doing a shanty, MNMLN6AJQW. Over.
This better be a good shanty. Oh, she's a ginger, oh.
There once was a ship that put to sea, and the name of the ship was the Billy O.T. The winds blew hard, her boat dipped down to below me, bully boys blow.
Her voice is too soft to be that of a sailor. She hasn't spent enough time yelling at people. 0 out of 10.
Soon may the weatherman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when it's tongue in his tongue, we'll take a leave and go.
Valor Howard. May she be a land wench. Over.
She be a land wench indeed, she a landlubber.
Soon may the weatherman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day with a tongue in his tongue, we'll take a leave and go. Before the boat had hit the water, the waves still came up and caught her. Hands to the side, harpoon and fought her when she dived down below. Soon may the weatherman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day with a tongue in his tongue, we'll take a
fucking cat too. Nah, we're done. We're done. Cringe. Fraud.
Valor
Landlubber
coward.
detected.
Wench be more fitting. She stow away on the ship and pretend she be one of the sea.
Yeah, buddy.
Over. Restream bot. YouTube. Bunker housing. She is very big more I'm not the greatest vocalist. Over. Restream bot. YouTube. Bunker housing. Here is the gamest up shanty.
Why would I wanna
Over.
Why would I wanna listen
Restream
to a
bot.
GameStop shanty?
YouTube. Bunker housing. Rejptkook 0. Over. Restream bot. YouTube. Bunker housing. You are a member the GME stock.
Yes, and
Over.
I don't care. I don't go on Reddit. Alright? I don't go on Reddit. I don't care.
Restream bot. YouTube. Bunker housing. It was the stock you know.
I know.
Over.
I just don't care. I don't go on Reddit. I don't want to hear no fucking song about GameStop stonks. I just want to hear how much money a bunch of Redditors wasted.
Valord coward. Wasn't that like a year ago?
Mm-hmm.
Over.
Well, he's still talking about the
Restream bot.
coronavirus like anyone cares.
YouTube. Bunker housing. It was more a 4chan thing. Very hilarious.
Bro.
Over.
Bunker mate. I don't know what the fuck you're trying to sell, but we ain't buying. Alright? That's Reddit tier shit. No one except Reddit cares about that crap. Alright, I'm gonna go back to my video about some chick being a pedophile. Well, tranny, but,
Restream
you know,
bot.
still funny.
YouTube. Bunker housing. I have to go to work now.
No worries, mate.
Over. Restream bot. YouTube. Bunker housing. Sorry.
Get off Reddit.
Over.
But have a fun day at work. Have a good one,
Valord
mate. Catch you
coward.
around.
Later bunker.
And she showed
Over.
that her Discord was a safe place for abused and groomed people. So I joined the server hoping to build a support system
Restream
for
bot.
people who understood abuse and
YouTube.
grooming.
Bunker
This was
housing.
not the case,
Take care
as it
friend.
even
Good
said
to
in the
see you
rules
again.
that you couldn't
Smile
discuss
face. Going
personal
to
stories
think
in
of
the group
more
lobbies.
teams to debate. Winking face.
Mental health
Over.
support
Oh,
expected
joy.
and quite frankly
Restream
needed.
bot.
I was instead
YouTube.
constantly
Bunker
worried about
housing.
somehow
I do
breaking
not
vaguely
use
worded
Reddit.
rules and would get
Over.
insta-banned from the server. So I would do everything I could to get into Lily's good graces. She posted a live stream in the server.
Valord
I'd
coward.
watch it and then comment
Cook
on
of
it in
VE
the server
fooled
after.
us.
She said she had a story in a call. I'm the first one on it. Then she posted a stream in the server that was age restricted. I was 17, so I didn't want to be exposed to anything that I shouldn't have. Lily should have known I was 17 since I didn't make it a secret while I was in the server. So I asked her why it was age restricted. She responded with, "Watch and you'll find out." So I thought it couldn't be too bad, because she wouldn't tell me, a minor, to watch something that I'm not supposed to watch. She
Restream
actually
bot.
did expose me to something I should
YouTube.
not have been seeing.
Bunker housing.
Every
Also
time a girlfriend
Pele
of hers
give
told
link
her
to
to,
YouTube film
she
I
lifted
watch
her
it
top,
I also
showing
later
the entire
smile
stream
face.
her bare chest.
Over.
I should mention that this is while she was playing.
Please give a link to the YouTube film. I'll watch it later. I guess if you want, what, this video? Lily Orchard grooms her audience with victim testimony. I mean, look, I'm just watching this because I got something to play in the background because I'm not allowed to play copyrighted music or anything like that on YouTube. So, you know, just drama video. And Lily Orchard has been a lolcow I've
Restream
had a bit
bot.
of interest in.
YouTube. Bunker housing. I think I found it.
Well, yeah,
Over.
I mean, the fucking title's right there by Essence of Thought. Hey, if you want, go ahead. But I mean, it's just a lolcow, really. That's all. Nothing special. Just a bit of something to watch.
Playing a Pokemon game. A game that is very obviously
Restream
children's
bot.
IP.
YouTube.
stop her-
Bunker
watching her
housing.
streams after this
Gonna
instance
watch
for a
it
few
also
months,
later. Take
until I
care
turned
now.
18 at
Smile
least.
face.
No worries, bud.
I should
Over.
Have a good one, mate.
We have screenshots from said event, which I have blurred for obvious reasons. I also found this stream from the day after showing Lily in the same room and clothes, just to confirm that it is her in the previous photo. Later I found confirmation from Lily Orchard herself with this post from the day after, acknowledging the event on Tumblr, with Lily defending her actions whilst hiding that she knowingly targeted a minor. So what Glade stated is corroborated by multiple pieces of evidence that I was able to find independent of said testimony. I also think it's worth noting that Lily Orchard herself has stated, in no unclear fashion, that she believes the age of consent being lower than 18 is. Why so many predators can get off scot-free, because their actions likely weren't even crimes to begin with. Before going on to add that, personally, I'm an advocate for the age of consent being 19 in Canada, as it's also the age where you can use recreational drugs, alcohol, tobacco, marijuana, gamble, and are emancipated from your parents. So even if you want to make the ridiculous argument that Lily wasn't deliberately grooming Glade because she didn't personally consider them a minor, that's just not true. By Lily's own declared standard, Glade, who was known to be 17 at the time, was a minor when Lily Orchard targeted them. But it gets worse, for you see, Lily's server has a specifically designated Not Safe for Work section that you gain access to by joining her heroic tier on Patreon. This implies that the rest of her server is safe for work and thus won't contain any sexual content as specified in the server's rules. Do note, said screenshot was taken in 2020, so she might have updated said rules since. Now, when talking to Glade, they made it clear to me that they, the minor in the situation, took the responsibility to make sure that they didn't have access to any of the channels dubbed Not Safe for Work. This is in spite of the fact that said responsibility should never have even been offered to them. It is Lily Orchard's responsibility alone to make sure minors do not gain access to said spaces. Getting personal for a second, I run a kink server completely detached from my work here, and
Nice.
I vet every member's age at the
Nice.
door, without moderators, without pay, in spite of the fact that I do not regularly review children's media, because that is my damn responsibility as a member of a community. But Lily refuses to take the most basic steps to ensure the safety of minors in her audience. That's why nowhere on Lily's Patreon does it even mention that you'll be gaining access to Not Safe for Work spaces if you pledge to her heroic tier, merely that you'll gain access to locked channels, same as the legacy tier, which doesn't give you access to Not Safe for Work channels. It's why she puts the onus on the person to have them inform Lily to opt out. And I bring all this up since the link, the one to the stream in which Lily Orchard planned to flash her audience every time her girlfriends told her to, was deliberately posted to the Safe for Work section of her Discord server. I repeat, just so you know I haven't misspoken. Lily Orchard posted a link to a stream in which she planned to flash the audience in the Safe for Work section, a place where Lily not only knew there were minors, but people in general who do not wish to engage with sexual content and had gone out of their way to
Valord
opt
coward.
out of it.
Gross.
So even before
Who the
we
fuck
get
would
to the
want
fact
to
that
see
she
that?
personally told Glade,
Over.
a minor, to
Well, obviously no one. That's why she did it without their consent.
watch and find out that she has
That's
these
why it's not on a porn channel. Because no one would want to see that.
channels and yet flaunts their designations alone is more than enough to demonstrate that this was no
Or at least
accident.
that's my headcanon.
This wasn't an oversight. This was deliberate. She knew about the line. Hell, she'd chosen to include it in her rules.
Valord
And yet,
coward.
when she felt like
LOL
nobody
makes
was looking,
sense.
she violated her audience's trust. Because Lily Orchard is deliberately trying to funnel minors into her sex games whilst retaining plausible deniability. That's all these channels exist for, to act as a soft excuse, something for her to roll out and pretend like she's taking steps to prevent minors from engaging with her sexually, allowing her to breach the trust said system is reliant upon whenever she feels like it, deleting the evidence to make sure it's difficult for her to be called out. What's worse, however, is the way in which she personally coerced Glade, a known minor who looked up to Lily as an authority on grooming and abuse, to partake in her and her girlfriend's sexual games. Because yes, they are complicit. This was a one-on-one interaction with a minor who came to Lily's Discord to try and heal from previous grooming, only for them to be targeted by Lily in a similar fashion.
Yeah, boy, I'm
Once
fresh
again,
meat.
the fact that Glade was forced
Yeah, a bit of fresh meat here. Like a fucking nest of rock spiders, isn't it?
Valord coward. Jesus fuck. Over.
to be the responsible one as a minor, asking why a stream posted to the servers.
Also, I noticed no music in the background.
Valord coward.
Hang on.
Going after that wounded animal, I guess.
Yeah, buddy.
Over.
I need him nice and defenseless. Nice and weak and defenseless. Some nice, easy prey. I can see why Lily's real into
Valord
children.
coward.
Some nice, easy
Grocery store music.
prey. Grocery
Over.
store music, Jürgen.
Safe for work section had been age restricted is remarkable on Glade's part. It is not the sort of behaviour I expect from a minor, and even if they hadn't taken that initiative, they wouldn't be responsible in any way whatsoever for Lily's predatory actions. That is something I need to be absolutely clear about. And speaking of that initiative, I feel the need to remind people of vital context, namely how, at the time this all happened, YouTube was being dragged very publicly for automatically age-restricting videos and even entire channels that primarily discussed LGBT+ topics, even those doing things as mundane as defining what labels like bisexual or transgender meant. This, of course, is a smaller symptom of a wider issue, the way in which things as innocuous as swearing or as potentially life-saving as LGBT+ resources are classified as mature content by allo-cis-het society. This is why the far right has been so successful in arguing that any mention of LGBT+ existence must be banned from schools or other public spaces. I personally remember trying to look up queer helplines in my school since I had no support at home or at said school, only to discover that they were all
Valord
blocked from the
coward.
school's network
Life
due to it
saving.
being inappropriate
Fucking
content.
retard.
Point is,
Over.
Glade had absolutely no way of
Valord
knowing
coward.
whether Lily's channel had fallen
This
victim
person
to
should
YouTube's
suck on a
algorithm,
bullet.
a fact Lily
Over.
Orchard is relying on. Said ambiguity is one of the
Alright, come
tools
on
Lily
now,
Orchard
be
uses
nice.
to ensnare her victims whilst retaining plausible deniability, exploiting the loopholes created by queer music society. It's a means of setting up a gotcha, a pre-primed response to be regurgitated endlessly when she comes under scrutiny. Anytime someone brings up the facts that Lily
Valord
Orchard invited
coward.
minors to watch
No,
her stream,
I
in
trainee
which she
shit should
secretly
stay
intended
out
to
of
flash
schools.
on camera, with her
Over.
posting settling to a safe for work section, she and her supporters can respond, well, the stream was marked 18+. If a minor ignores that, that's their fault. Lily can't control what her audience does, let alone a minor, conveniently leaving out the greater social context surrounding LGBT+ topics, particularly those hosted on YouTube. This is victim blaming. Lily Orchard is weaponizing societal queermisia to her predatory advantage. Though, speaking at social
Valord coward.
context, when taken into
He should do the
consideration,
Kurt
it
Cobain
demonstrates
blowjob
that
and save
not
the
only
world
is
some
this line of
oxygen.
argument a clear form
Over.
of victim blaming, but it is predicated on the demand that queer minors isolate themselves from life-saving resources and the LGBT+ community as a whole, which is absolutely horrific. As queer elders, it's our responsibility to ensure any minors in our community are as safe as possible, especially if the bulk of our content centers on children's media. I really can't stress that last part enough. What's more is, we can also infer intent from Lily's actions by simply considering what any non-predator would have done in the same situation. Lily Orchard could have answered the very straightforward question she was asked by a known minor, or more importantly, would have removed the link to her sexual stream from her Safe for Work section the moment she was questioned on it. But she chose not to. The fact that she didn't do either of these things when it was brought to her attention shows a very specific, very deliberate style of behavior. She chose to manipulate her victim into the position she wanted them, whilst also ensuring she had an excuse ready to go the moment she got called out on it, which she did. And what's worse is, she's not alone. I can fucking guarantee that a number of Lily Orchard's fans are, the moment they see this, getting ready to victim blame a queer minor. This is in spite of the fact that, even by the standards of the truly fucked up society we live in, Glade was the perfect victim that the media demands, in that they were a minor who, when repeatedly put in sexual situations by an adult, removed themselves from the situation. There is no ambiguity here, but Lily's core fanbase will try to invent some because that's the dynamic she has cultivated. And if you're someone who came here to do that and you've watched this far, I ask you to take a damn look at yourself and question what led you here. And that's not just a rhetorical, I actually mean it. Thing is, this is not a rare occurrence. Lily Orchard is constantly grooming the minors inside her audience, and yes, she knows they're there. That's why she goes so far as to address them directly, as seen in this clip taken from her Glass of Water episode, Guard Break.
If you're a child watching this right now and you're being bullied in school, here's what you do. You demand that your bully cease their behavior, and if they refuse, grab the heaviest object you can reliably swing and beat their fucking teeth in. Yeah, you'll get suspended, but that suspension will end, and that—
I'm pretty sure you'd probably get expelled. I'm pretty sure you'd get expelled. Perhaps this is a bit of a difficult concept for Lily to grasp, but you can't just assault people
Valord coward.
you don't like.
That is grounds for expulsion in most schools.
Yeah.
Over.
You would get fucking expelled. I mean, most kids get suspended because they only get like a couple punches in, you know? No real serious damage. If you beat a fellow classmate with a fucking object, the heaviest object you could find, alright, you're gonna get expelled. But hey, this goes back to what we were saying before, that Lily is basically Lily has all the materials to be a mass shooter. Hey, if there's
Valord
someone
coward.
you don't like, kill him.
Because the breaking of teeth is considered grave bodily harm in many schools these days.
Especially if you're
Over.
using a weapon. Like, using a weapon is really gonna amp up the seriousness. I mean, look, spoiler alert, Lily, people aren't gonna like you if you just run around assaulting people you don't like.
Valord coward. Oh, that's battery and assault. Over.
Like, yeah, I don't know what else to tell you, mate. You can't go around assaulting people just because you don't like them. Alright? Like, what if
Valord
the bullying
coward.
is like a group of girls?
Especially if all the person did was say a mean word.
And again,
Over.
another thing is, this goes under the assumption that you will win the fight. What if you don't? What if you grab an object, take a swing, and you miss? Then what? What if despite having a weapon in your hand, you still lose the fight? Then what? The bullies will be completely absolved. They have every right to defend themselves when you pull a fucking weapon. And you're gonna get expelled regardless of whether you win or lose. And then what? Now you got no education. I don't know how bad it is not finishing high school in America. I don't think it's as bad in Australia, but it's still a problem. If people see you haven't finished high school, they're gonna think you're brain dead, unless you got something else to compensate, like tertiary education, or you can show that you left school to
Valord
go
coward.
into the workforce.
It's a problem. Over.
Yeah, I would figure. Especially when they ask, why did you drop out? Oh,
Valord
I
coward.
beat a kid with a weapon.
Hey, I'm not brain dead. Over.
Yeah, buddy. What terrible, terrible advice. And again,
Valord coward. I dropped out of school. Over.
I nearly got expelled from school. I basically just held on because the principal, I had a chat with the principal, and the principal was just like, look, I understand you fucking hate school and you clearly don't want to be here and you don't care about your grades, but you're in your last year, so you may as well just stick it to the end. No one cares about your grade. It doesn't matter if you failed high school, and I did fail high school. But no one cares if you failed high school because you can just write down that you finished high school. No one cares whether you passed or not, as long as you finish. No one's gonna ask, oh, what were you like in high school? What was your grades like? No, they just want to see that, oh, yep, they finished, so they can't be that retarded. Now again, qualifications in education are becoming more irrelevant as time goes on, as people just become more interested in raw skills rather than qualifications, because again, qualifications is very much a remnant of the old World War II style education system. Again, America is very, I mean, I guess, hey, I don't live in America, but from what I've seen, America is very slow on the ball in that there's a lot of qualification-based education, you know, basically box ticking. But I think there's just, the nature of the market, there's just a shift away from qualification-based education into just, if you can do the job, you can do the job. If you've got a portfolio to demonstrate you know what you're doing, that's good enough. I mean, my old man, he's a business consultant,
Valord
and
coward.
he deals with employment stuff all the time.
Well, I was pretty much told to leave. They
Yeah.
were gonna write me up, and before they did, I was told if they did, they were going to send me to juvenile detention if they wrote me up.
Oh, yeah.
Over.
Okay. So early they got rid of you. But yeah, my old man says, like, at the end of the day, he's less, as an whenever he's employing people or trying to find employees for other businesses, he's always looking at whether or not you can do the work, more so than qualifications. Because at the end of the day, all qualifications really prove is that you can do what you're told. And so they're really just an indication
Valord
of
coward.
foundational understanding.
But I was given the option to drop out, no problem. Over.
That bully will never bother you again because of how much that beating actually hurt.
That's absolutely a misunderstanding as well.
Valord coward. But if I was expelled for violence, boy howdy, I would be fucked. Over.
But again, if you beat your bully, if you beat them hard enough, they'll leave you alone and never want to come back. There's no proof of that. That's a misconception. If you beat a bully, what's stopping them from getting their friends and then retaliating with a much larger force? What's stopping the bully from just coming back with a weapon this time and then just beating you with that?
Valord coward. That's a fiction myth.
Yeah. What's stopping the bully from finding other means of retaliation? And again, you gotta put the context
Valord
of the
coward.
bully. Like,
They don't just stop.
nah.
Over.
And again, it depends on the kind of bully. If it's a girl, they definitely won't stop. Girls are extremely persistent bullies. And they're gonna go for things like, and you can't be violent. It's difficult to be violent with female bullies, because typically females are gonna be less physical. Their whole thing is fucking up people's reputations, talking behind their back. You know, classic girl one is trying to convince people to commit suicide. Go listen to some you ever find a girl that's gone to an all-girls school? Go to ask her about stories of bullying from that. All-girls schools are fucking horror shows, man. Absolute fucking horror shows. again, I wonder what's Lily's frame of reference when she says this is a solution to bullying. Or just go fucking turn into a mass shooter, eh? Go, be the quiet kid and come to school with an AR-15 and show those bullies what for. Like, it's nuts, man. What are you talking about?
Valord coward. Another factor is who the bully is. If the bully is this big anti-BLT person, what's not to say the person doesn't just turn back up with buddies and kill THME?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, what's stopping them from coming back? Oh, well, the beating was so bad. Well, then next time they're just going to be prepared. They're going to bring their own weapons. They're going to bring more people. They'll attack you when you're not paying attention. They'll just come up behind you and king hit you and beat the shit out of you.
Valord coward. Spite is one hell of a drug. Over.
Otherwise, again, they can go through other tactics. If they can't deal with you physically, they can deal with your reputation. Spread lies and rumors about you, fuck up your social life. And especially for a high school kid, that can really fuck them up. Because obviously they're fucking young, you know? They're kids who are typically very much dependent on social circles and social status. Because it's a hyper-socialized environment. Well, not hyper-socialized, but hyper-social environment high school is. I mean, I cared much more about how people thought of me back in high school than I do nowadays. Really, what taught me to stop giving a shit about what other people think was being depressed and suicidal. And that's not a good thing. Hilariously malformed advice.
She's also received messages like the one currently shown on screen, sent to her Tumblr last year, stressing that they've been watching her since they were a 9-year-old child. This is no accident, by the way. Both the intellectual property she touches on and many of the topics she covers, from writing tips to bullying, are going to attract a younger audience. On top of this, her style of presentation, both in the visual she uses and her emotionally charged yet rather simplistic language, are all designed to cater to teenagers and children.
Well, that's because Lily didn't do anything like that. All he ever did was get called gay and ran away. Over.
Which begs the question.
And here's the thing, I wonder if even that... I reckon Lily was the bully. That's what I reckon. I reckon Lily was the bully. Considering how much this kind of derives joy from preying on people weaker than him.
Valord coward. Most likely. Over.
Why is Lee set on constantly exposing those very same children to graphic sexual content? Let's go over some examples, starting with this post to Lee's official Tumblr, which, to be clear, is not marked as not safe for work.
Probably bullied other girls because he was most likely the gay best friend of girls in school. Over.
Honestly, there's little doubt in my mind that I could bend you over and fuck your tight little ass raw, and you just moan and gasp. Cause at the end of the day, you just want to be a masochistic little fuckhole, free for use with a polite word and a strong grip. Hell, the politeness isn't even necessary. To which Lee simply replied with an open-eyed emoticon. And whilst you might go, okay, well, she's not the one who wrote such a graphic message, it's key to remember that she has complete creative control over said space. She has to personally approve every question, and this isn't even a once-off. There are dozens of messages like this in the span of a single month. Messages Lily encourages, along with ones in which she tells her audience that there's even a chance of things moving forward to more one-on-one interactions. Reminder that this is on a Tumblr which primarily focuses on reviewing and exploring children's content. The number of lewd posts should be 0. And it's not just sexual messages, it's also images, like this one showing Lily getting hammered by a magic wand, a vibrator about the size of my forearm. Lily shared this image to her entire audience, minors included. And while she tagged it not safe for work, that doesn't actually do anything to prevent the minors in her audience from seeing it. It just makes it easier to find using the search options. Now, Lily subsequently removed this piece because she began to receive heat for it, so she knows what she is doing is wrong, and yet this behavior continues. Last year, I noticed that Lily was streaming Kingdom of Hearts, and so I clicked it out of curiosity. That's when I noticed this in the description of her stream. Sexual comments directed at Lily are fine, do not involve her friends/partners. Now we know exactly what it is Lily is encouraging here, the sort of pornographic writing she seeks from her audience. So you can imagine my horror to discover that, as I logged out, said stream of a children's game wasn't locked behind any sort of age barrier, having been marked as safe for all ages. Note my horror, not my surprise. And do you want to know the truly terrifying thing? There appears to have been a minor in the audience of that stream, with one of the people stating, "Alright guys, I gotta go to school," to which other audience members responded by wishing them a good day. This happened right after I dragged Lily, yet not one person in her audience stopped to question that. Another thing that's worth noting is what happened when I pointed out what she was doing. Whilst Lily put on a public display, calling me a TERF.
Another day, another pathetic fucking TERF. Who is this guy? Essence is some weird fucking TERF channel.
Whilst misgendering me.
Oh yeah, where it says, sexual comments directed at Lily or Fi do not fall for friends or partners. Whatever, dude.
And telling me that I was being reductive for calling a game designed for children a kids game.
Also, actually, fuck yeah. Also, kids game, that's rather reductive, isn't it?
That line in the description of her stream suddenly vanished. Now, this wasn't because I'd helped Lily see the error of her ways. If that were the case, she would have done so without attempting to assassinate my character to her audience. She removed it because her actions were being scrutinized, and she had no actual defense. Lily Orchard knows that her arguments about being reductionist can't stand up to scrutiny, since, hey, just because it's designed for children doesn't mean you, an adult, can't enjoy it. It simply means you shouldn't base your entire brand around such content before going on to create a hypersexual environment, well aware of the facts that you are drawing minors to your seriously fucked up community. Which brings me to what seems to be Lily's primary defense regarding this behavior, her rampant whataboutism.
You're engaging sexually with your audience. Name 5 YouTubers who don't do that. ContraPoints does it, James Sterling does it. Sorry, James Stephanie Sterling does it. There's plenty of YouTubers who do that shit. Like, I don't think these
content creators aim their content at children. I mean, Jim Sterling mostly talks about, like, backdoor corruption in video games. He talks about industry level shit. You know, I don't think kids really understand industry. Or teenagers. Teenagers might, but again, I don't know if they want that sort of content. And even then, I mean, hey, I've never checked the metrics. But I've never gotten the impression Jim Sterling stuff is aimed for like a younger audience. ContraPoints, I don't watch ContraPoints, but I have a feeling it's the same. I mean, ContraPoints does video essays, doesn't she? About politics and crap. I don't know if that's... You consider that intended for children?
Fucking freaks even grapple with the concept that
it's not a crime to be vulgar.
Yeah, it's not a crime to masturbate. It is a crime to masturbate in front of children. Alright, you understand the problem? Understand the problem, son? It's not a, it's not a crime to be naked in your house. It's a crime to be naked outside of a school, though. You know what I mean? And I mean, hey, in some contexts, it is a crime to be vulgar, considering in some contexts that you can get arrested for, you know, racial discrimination if you're depending on the type of vulgarity and the context of it. Also, if you just scream the F word at the top of your lungs constantly, you're probably going to get arrested. You can get arrested for being a nuisance. It's a matter of context.
Excuse me, ma'am, but you're swearing?
Notice how Lily has completely shifted the actual issue here? I was talking about her engaging sexually with minors in her audience, which, by the end of her rant, has been downgraded to swearing. But more importantly, the differences between Lily Orchard and content creators like Natalie Wynn and James Stephanie Sterling are the facts that A. Their entire brand and marketing isn't centered on children's content, meaning that the standards for their community are completely different, and B. They don't encourage their audience members to engage with them sexually. There's a difference between using innuendo in your videos and telling people it's okay to sext you. It's genuinely amazing to see how fast Lily Orchard rushes in to butcher the context here. The issue is not her being sexual online. Again, I run a kink server. The issue is her deliberately creating a hypersexualized environment that, on the outside, is extremely attractive to children she has acknowledged herself in her work. Though I haven't even discussed the worst part in all of this, Lily has confessed that people in her audience regularly send her naked photos of themselves. And while she claims to delete them all, there's no fucking way to check that. This is the same person who went out of her way to violate the security of the Safe for Work section she set up on her server. How can we be sure she doesn't keep them? And how the living fuck can we be certain that none of the minors she has groomed have fallen victim to this? The sad fact is, we can't. All we can do is act on the facts that Lily Orchard is simultaneously putting out posts like these, whilst also grooming the minors in her audience. She is planting this thought in their minds, telling the minors in her audience that sending her naked photos of themselves is a safe way to explore their sexuality. Something else we need to discuss is how Lily Orchard doesn't simply lure in minors, but target specific groups, namely child victims of bullying, domestic abuse, and sexual abuse. I've already shown the video taken from Guardbreak, a video that touches on the topic of bullying, something which primarily impacts children and is thus going to draw them in. And it's worth discussing the way in which bullying manifests itself in the victim, namely the way it can erode an individual's sense of self-worth whilst normalizing abusive behavior. Victims of bullying are ripe for grooming, with predators using their victims' insecurities as a means to gain their trust and hook them by making them feel valued and desired. Mantras like, "You're mature for your age," whilst enticing to many children, are particularly attractive to children who feel disconnected from their peers due to things like bullying. It not only offers them an explanation, but validation, telling them that they're simply ahead of the curve. We also have the facts that Lily discusses LGBT+ topics, and that, coupled with her general brand, is going to attract young members of said community. People who are not only more likely to experience bullying, but potentially family abuse and even abandonment. And I can get why. Lily's content can be very cathartic.
Art smiling
Her public
face with
displays of
open
anger,
mouth.
genuine or
Hey.
not,
Over.
will
How's
be
it
the
going,
first
hero?
time many queer minors have seen such a display, and that can be very intoxicating.
We're back to Lily Orchard.
Valord coward. Hey hero. Over.
We're headed into the hazmat zone, boys.
Extra
Probably should have put on a
HER0.
gas mask.
PLS no. Over.
It's what we do best.
To finally have someone tell you that you're not the problem, it's the world which is fucked. Something that, likewise, increases their vulnerability to her. Then we have Lily Orchard's anti-pedophilia content kicked off on the 30th of January 2018 with the release of Glass of Water, Blame and Groom, covering Toon critic Y2K's grooming and sexual abuse of underage girls, the widespread tolerance of his sexual harassment of women in the pony community, and how these things are connected. In the space of 1 year and 7 months, she went on to release an additional 7 videos, either relating to the situation with Toon critic Y2K or discussing other child groomers or issues of child sexual abuse in the pony community. Glass of Water Addendum, Blame and Groom, another Pedophile Rises tries to echo enabling nonsense, Call between Josh Scorcher, Patchwork Heart, and Lily Pete, FNGR abuses partner, Secret Rift / Limbo joins in, MLP fanfic reading YouTubers post child pornography for years unnoticed, Creepy Starlight fan scams artists, threatens people, and preys on minors, and MLP cons are a hive of child molestation.
Yeah?
There's food out there for you.
Cheers.
Glass of Water. And this hasn't gone away, with Lily more recently positioning herself as someone who supports speaking out against abuse fetishists, pedophiles, and bigots in your fanbase, once again driving home this message that she is anti-pedophile and thus safe to be around. Lily's content is tailored to drawing in an incredibly vulnerable group within an already vulnerable group. She is funneling pre-groomed minors into hypersexualized spaces, and if you think I'm reading too much into this, consider the following clip from her second video on Toon Critic, Glass of Water Addendum, Blame and Groom.
The fact of the matter is, Silver Quill and Dr. Wolf
Doing
have
good
zero
hero,
experience
just
with
relaxing
abuse,
and
counseling
kicking the
abuse
last
victims,
of
the
my
healing
cold.
process, or the basic
Over.
entry-level behavioral psychology that is involved in all of those things. I, on the other hand, have a lot of experience with all of those things. I was abused by my family growing up. I was involved with the mental health field during my own recovery. I spent my late teens and early adulthood involved in youth counseling for a lot of issues from neurodivergence to abuse survivors.
Yeah, you turned out perfect, didn't you, Lily? You clearly resolved all those issues. Hey, hop in the van, kids. Hop in the van, kiddies.
I also have a Discord community that has many members involved in it who have dealt with abuse in their lives and are actively involved in the mental health field. Every single claim in this video was fact-checked and debunked multiple times over. When it comes to abuse and healing from abuse, these two know absolutely nothing. They are pulling
Everybody is
information
sick from the
directly out of their
snowstorm
ass,
in my
and they are
area.
relying on personal anecdotes
Over.
and their own spiritual beliefs about how the world should work to gaslight abuse survivors. At
Valor
first I thought
coward.
this was well-meaning stupidity,
He
but
dealt
in light of
abuse
recent
because
events,
he
I have
causes
come to
it.
the conclusion that this
Over.
was genuine malice.
This is the video that led numerous victims of grooming, people like Glade, to join Lily Orchard's server, because Lily Orchard had very purposely led them to believe it was a safe place, actually capable of helping victims of...
Actually, sorry, I gotta play this. Old punk rock song, old Newgrounds punk rock man. This was on Punkomatic too, if you ever remember that hit. Ice Cream Man.
Valor coward. That snowstorm fucked a lot of America. Too bad I just dealt with an Arctic blast. Over. Valor coward. What's this from? Over.
Punkomatic 2. If you remember that.
Valor Howard. LMAO.
I am the
Over.
ice cream man, running over kids in my minivan. I am the ice cream man, running over kids in my minivan. I am the ice cream man, running over kids in my minivan. I am the ice cream man, running over kids in my minivan. I am the ice cream man, running over kids in my minivan.
Yeah.
And abuse.
Newgrounds
Yet,
punk
not only
rock.
was that not the case, there are no resources, no support on offer. It is in fact the very same server in which Lily Orchard posts links to sexual streams in the Safe for Work section before pressuring minors into watching. This clip serves no purpose outside of ensuring her a constant stream of fresh meat. Then we
Yeah,
have
boy.
the irony here in how Lily Orchard herself acknowledges the existence
I am the ice cream man, running over kids in my minivan.
of bad actors in this field. This is not something I've just made up, it's something she herself has talked about whilst hiding her own horrific behaviour. Thing is, I've encountered said behaviour before. Some of you might recall I was singled out and sexually assaulted for being trans at the start of 2021. Now, the person responsible, Himadri Barman, worked at Feminism in India as an admin, and upon me coming forward, several other queer women and trans folk stepped forward with similar experiences. Turns out he'd been using his position in said feminist organisation to target vulnerable people. This is a thing that happens a lot. Predators will position themselves as oppositional to predators as a means of luring in and ensnaring their victims. It also makes it incredibly hard for Lily Orchard's victims to speak out and receive support because people take her anti-predator stance at face value and use that to discredit said survivors. After all, how can Lily be a predator? She's made 7 videos calling out predators. By declaring herself a lead figure in
Rock Spider. Hey, there's a kangaroo term for you there, extra hero. Rock spider. That's a term for pedophiles. Because they're spiders that hide in between the rocks, waiting to strike.
fight against predators in children's fandoms,
Extra
Lily has
HER0.
redirected suspicion
Taking
away from
notes.
herself.
Okay.
That is the
Over.
basis of Lily Orchard's brand. This is not an accident. To support Lily Orchard is to support a predator. That's whether you donate to her Patreon, share her videos, or defend her character. If you do any of that, now that you know the truth, you have made yourself complicit. You have helped Lily Orchard groom the minors in her audience. And I know that this might be hard for some people to hear, specifically those who didn't know and have simply given Lily Orchard the benefit of the doubt due to the amount of hate she receives solely on the basis that she is trans. Because yes, there are people going after Lily Orchard for the wrong reasons, something Lily has used to
Valor
advantage, as seen earlier
Also,
in
don't
how
forget
the
to
moment I
write down
criticised
the
her
other terms
publicly,
we
she
learned
began
from
labeling me
Shadversity.
a TERF.
Over.
Me, someone who is not only an anti-assimilationist trans femme, but has also been threatened with lawsuit by 2 heads of the UK TERF movement for
Valor
documenting
Coward.
and critiquing their
Or was it from
transmisia.
Lily too?
Yet to those who have given
Over.
Lily Orchard the benefit
I think it was from Lily. You're talking about the Folcon
of the doubt,
and the Lolly Opie.
I need to
Opie
say
Lolly.
this. The fact that there are bigots out there criticizing Lily Orchard in bad faith doesn't magically absolve
Valor
her
Coward.
of her very
Yeah.
real crimes.
Over.
Something you need to come to terms with. Just like I need you to come to terms with the fact that, as shitty as you might be feeling upon the realization that you have been supporting a predator
Valor
all
Coward.
these years, that feeling
Those
doesn't
two
even register
godforsaken
on the scale of
terms.
harm Lily
Over.
Orchard has caused her victims. What's more is, it is never too late to change things. You can start fixing at least some of the damage by making sure that as many people are aware of this as possible by any means necessary. Get the news out there. Make people aware of what Lily Orchard has done to people like Glade. Do not Let Lily Orchard bury this, as she has done her past abusive behavior. Predators require a degree of control to do what they do and get away with it. For Lily, that came in the form of ambiguity and character assassination. Yet collectively, we have the power to ensure that she doesn't get away with what she's done. So let's get on with it. Lily Orchard grooms her audience, and the people in her community need to know. If you appreciate what we do here and want to help out, please consider becoming one of our wonderful patrons who make all this possible. On that note, we'd just like to thank the following people: Matthew Kovac.
Oh, look! That time Vash's career should have died.
Valord coward. Lily will get away with this only because he is a trainee. Over.
I think for now. I think it's a matter of for now. Again, from what I've seen of the stuff I've been watching on Lily Orchard, it's only really coming out within like the past year. So it's really...
Valord
it really
coward.
needs some time to ferment.
BLT people get away with it all the time. Over.
Like, I think it needs time to ferment. I think give it a couple years, I think Lily Orchard's pedo pony crap is really going to end up overtaking everything else about her. And all that is ultimately going to do is fuck over the LGBTQ community as a whole. Because it's just going to provide more ammunition for people that want to get rid of these kinds of communities or these kind of demographics entirely. Which, again, I don't think Lily Orchard really cares about. I don't care. Clearly, she doesn't care about how many lives she ruins along the way, as long as she gets what she wants. And she will for a while, but time has a tendency to
Valord coward.
erode and decay at things that
That
may
is
seem
true.
so strong
That
now.
community is full of degenerates. Over.
But I mean, again, all the shit about Lily Orchard I've seen, like the really sus shit, that's only come out in like the last year. So it is very much fresh out of the oven. It hasn't had time to really ferment and grow.
Extra HER0. Yeah, just sucks cause she doesn't represent all trans people, but some people see it that way.
And again,
Over.
because she's also a very high profile person, people are always going to look towards the most high profile people. Which are typically the most degenerate. Not always, but typically.
Valord coward. Yep, because I see it he
As dark as
represents
things
all
sometimes
trans
appear
people.
to me as a CSA
Over.
survivor living in an abused culture, one thing that always shines through whenever I force myself to gaze upon the soul-crushing darkness that...
Sorry, we're listening to it again. Yeah, buddy!
Valord coward.
Ice cream man, kitty!
Only because I am uncharitable.
He's a proud right-wing American.
Well, I'm a piece of white trash living in the suburbs, working minimum wage cause I'm dumber than a turd. Dropped out of 5th grade, living on welfare. I don't have an ID, but I don't really care. I couldn't find a job, it really was my tire ring, and then I saw an ad. Ice cream man now hiring. I took my mother's minivan, I stole a piece of crap. Boom, kiddies, the ice cream man is back. I am the ice cream man, running over kids in my minivan. I am the ice cream man, running over kids in my
Valord coward.
minivan. While I'm driving down the
Guns.
street, shooting
Beer.
kids with
Burger.
a brick.
Cheese.
Listening
Trucks.
closely, this
And
is a good
guns.
story. I guess I'm
Over.
gonna punk didn't really like me. I said what you want, and he said bite me. So I took his scooper, I shoved it up his pooper, and he
Nah,
said,
rolling around on this rascal with his AR-15. Freedom!
I am the ice cream man, running over kids in my minivan. I am the ice cream man, running over kids in my minivan.
Valord coward. Freedom. Asterisk insert scream of the bald eagle asterisk. Over.
Man, running over kids in my minivan. I am
enters the world as sexual predators is the strength many victims show for one another. To come forward and speak out, knowing full well that there's almost always a price attached in the form of harassment launched at them by supporters of their abuser, requires immense strength. And yet, many of them do so anyway, in the hopes that they can put an end to their predators' ways. And that's what has happened. That's what this video is about. Another one of Lily Orchard's victims is ready to have their testimony heard. Though before we can delve deeper into that, I first need to give a content warning for the following topics: child grooming, gaslighting, victim blaming, gatekeeping, zoophilia, and misgendering.
Yeah, buddy.
If you like our work and appreciate the research put into each
Valord
video,
coward.
please consider supporting the channel
But
via
no,
Patreon.
for real, I
You can
just
also
hate
support
that
us
these
by
trainee
liking,
degenerates get
commenting,
away
and
with
sharing
this
our work on
because
social
society
media.
views them as
Hi
a
there, my
protected
name's
class.
Thurston, and we're here to
Over.
talk about the facts that Lily Orchard groomed and then sexted with a minor who was 14 to...
Again, I can only talk from a more Australian context than American. I think it's just, and also on the internet, I think there's just a general assumption that they're stereotypically an oppressed demographic, therefore everyone that comes from that demographic must be the innocent and oppressed one, which of course is just simply not the case. Someone can be from an oppressed demographic and still be a predator. Obviously, you know. As the Chinese will tell us, things ain't always so binary, are they?
16 years old at the time. This of course follows on from our previous expose in which we presented victim testimony by Glade, he, him, they,
Valord
them,
coward.
someone who joined
About
Lily's
as
server
oppressed
as
as a shark in the
previously
deep
minor
ocean.
looking for support,
Over.
only to be pressured by Lily personally into partaking in her sexual games when Glade was 17, a fact known to Lily's server. Said testimony was supported by secondary evidence I was able to source independently and provided in said video. So be sure to check that out, as it will bring you up to speed on all that. We also explored the ways in which Lily Orchard grooms all minors in her audience, which is something we'll be building on throughout this video. We will not, however, be responding to Lily's attacks on my motives, nor her attacks on my gender.
I do not remember what absence of thought's gender is. And I keep defaulting to he, because all of his behavior is just like fucking Vosh kind of behavior.
Those will be receiving their own standalone response.
Which I personally find very ironic from Lily, who seems to make no attempt to present herself as a girl. I guess she has long hair, but you know, that doesn't really matter too much if you never see the cunt. Hang on, I'm gonna go grab my food. I'll be. Here, you can listen to Ice Cream Man again. Yeah!
Valord coward. Over.
Well, I'm a piece of white trash living in the suburbs, working minimum wage cause I'm dumber than a turd. Dropped out of 5th grade, living on welfare. I don't have an ID, but I don't really care. I couldn't find a job, it really was my tire ring, and then I saw an ad. Ice cream man, now hire ring. I took my mother's
This song is
minivan, I
booked.
stole a piece of crap.
Over.
Boom, kiddies, the ice cream man is back. I am the ice cream man, running over kids in my minivan. I am the ice cream man, running over kids in my minivan. While I'm driving down the street, shooting kids with a 40. Listening closely, this is a good story. I guess a little skater punk didn't really like me. I said, what you want? And he said, bite me. So I took his scooper, I shoved it up his scooper, and he's been limping for days. And I just sat and laughed as the little punk wallowed
This
away.
stream booked. YouTube, near the now. These lyrics W2FFFFF. Over.
Alright, I'm back.
Valord coward. The best song ever. Over. This stream booked. YouTube, Neil the Nub, Deep. Over. Restrain bot. YouTube, Shrimp Fried Syrup. Good morning, Purple Heart. Over.
Hey, how's it going, Neil? And how's it going, Shrimp? How you guys doing? This song is for the lyrics, what the fuck?
Valord Coward. Hey Shrimp.
Yeah, buddy.
Over.
That's by the way, Neil, that's a punk rock song from Punk-O-Matic 2. If you ever played that, it's a Newgrounds game. You can make your own little punk rock songs and perform them in this little Guitar Hero-esque deal. And obviously they had a lot of actual like Newgrounds punk rock bands do some music.
Restream
for them, and that
bot.
was one of them.
YouTube, Neil the Nub. I am terrified of the ice cream man. Over.
Because he's running over kids in his minivan?
Restream bot. YouTube, Shrimp Fried Syrup. That song felt like a cutaway on the show Home Movies. Over.
Sorry, we've just been playing the Ice Cream Man song because we're just watching content on a character, well not a character, a person called Lily Orchard, who has been, there's more and more evidence coming out of this person luring in minors and then trying to groom them, you know, so they can engage in pornographic, pedophilic activities. Hence why we've been playing the Ice Cream Man.
Later down the line. For now, I want to keep the focus on Lily's victims. So, I came across the following testimony by Mackenzie, they, them,
Restream
it's
bot.
Loop herself,
YouTube,
a few days
Shrimp
after
Fried
publishing
Syrup.
Blaze's
Nah,
testimony
she's a
whilst I was
character for
searching
sure.
for
LOL.
chatter. I then
Over.
approached them about whether they
She's
liked
a hell
their
of a character
testimony
indeed.
amplified, which they enthusiastically agreed to in hopes that it might help others. Now, I need to be clear about three things before we get to said testimony.
Valord Coward.
First, we have made some grammatical
She.
changes for easier
Over.
reading, but the original is linked in the video.
That's true.
Restream bot. YouTube, Neil the Nub. Oh wow, the ice cream man doesn't sound that bad now. Over.
Video script, meaning that you can check it
Yeah, Lily's a T from the LGBT.
for yourself to ensure we have made no significant changes to the testimony's contents, merely its grammar. Second, I was the one who approached Mackenzie.
Restream bot.
They had no idea I would see their
YouTube,
testimony
Shrimp
and
Fried
offered to
Syrup,
amplify their
rolling
voice
on the
when
floor
they posted
laughing.
it. They were merely venting
Over.
their frustrations to Twitter. Third, upon further conversation, Loop revealed to me
Valord
that
Coward.
they weren't even aware of our previous
BLT
expose.
community is
The
wild.
timing was strictly
Over.
coincidence. So with those three things made clear, here is Lupin testimony. A lot of the streams Lily Orchard does nowadays have her showing off herself nude, as well as her girlfriend, Michaela. First of all, that breaks YouTube's terms of service, but she always gets away with it because she deletes the stream straight after, hiding the evidence, of course. She also posted unfiltered news on her Tumblr and an easily accessible link to her fan art, much of which is not safe for work, on a Google Sheet. Lily has also posted porn on Main a lot. Like,
Extra HER
holy
0.
fuck. Not
I
only
see
of
it a
her,
little
but I
different.
found porn of her being
Over.
fucked by dogs through a Tumblr blog archiving her wrongdoings, which got nuked years ago. It wasn't the anthro-furry kind either. I would have been 17 seeing that, but
Present
many of
and
her
accounted
fans
for,
are
sir.
younger.
Ooh.
Everything I mentioned
Who's
are
that?
the streams.
SPVD underscore. Underscore gang rise up. We got another underdog for the underscore gang. Thanks for tuning in, SPD. SPVD.
I saw as a minor. I'm 21 now and stopped watching her a few years ago, but I check up on her occasionally, and
SPVD
she's not
underscore.
accepted that she's the
Underscore
bad guy,
nag.
instead
Yeah,
holding out
buddy.
that
Over.
everyone else is.
How you doing, buddy?
It's
Valord
hilariously
Coward.
sad, but I fear
Underscore
for the minors
gang
in
rise
the
up.
audience because she's
Over.
still gross. Oh, and lest we not
Extra
forget about the
HER0.
fanfic she wrote,
Underscore
I read them
on
when
the
I would have
rise.
been a younger teen,
Over.
and they were gross.
SPVD
Just
underscore
Google Lily Orchard
is
stalker,
supposed to be
and you'll
scud,
find
but it
info
got
in it
taken
about
deep.
rainbow
Oh, I see.
Over.
You're from the Roman underscore gang. He's one of the Romans, he is. Sort of big nose. How you doing, bud? We're just doing some art. Well, I've been getting into a certain lolcow known as Lily Orchard, who's currently got quite the underage grooming rap sheet.
SPVD_. Drawing really good. Whoa. Over.
Well, thank you very much. This is just some concept art for concept art commission for Valid Coward there in the chat. This is one of his characters, Ravenous. So, we're just doing some concept art. We got a naked, we got a without the armor on, front and back, and then we got a with the armor on, front and back. The armor one, we're going to do the full shebang. So we're going to get it shaded, do the lights, do the shading, do the shining, the highlighting, get all that done. For the rest of them, we're just going to do the base colors, and then just get like the whole little sheet of all the colors we put into it. But otherwise, yeah, it's his character. So we're just doing some concept art. So we can use that as a nice little point of reference. As concept art oft wants to do.
SPVD_. Big booba wo era.
Indeed.
Over.
She has very, very big a booba. Val was
Valord
quite
Coward.
insistent on it.
Thanks again for bringing her to life.
No worries, but
Over.
it is my pleasure and my honor.
Dash adopting a child Scootaloo only to, well, yeah her. And no, the yeah isn't murder either. Oh, and because I thought it was a normal thing to do, because it was a normal thing on her blog, I sent some anon sexting sort of messages to her Tumblr. Some
Valord
she
Coward.
responded to.
I
But
was
can't
only
find them
partly
anymore,
joking
as
about
I
the
think
large
she reset
titty.
her
I was
Tumblr a
hopped
few
up
years
on
ago.
medicine when you
I
asked
would've
me for
been
the size.
younger at 14,
Over.
no older
Yeah, well, here we
than
are.
16.
Here we are.
So, yeah. Fuck Lily Orchard. Wouldn't care if she rots. She's disgusting. Not just because of what happened to me, but I don't care to talk about all the drama relating to her. So, in short, I sent
Valord
sex to her
Coward.
when I was no older than 16,
Thank you and sorry.
they were public,
No
and I
worries,
saw
bud.
porn of her as a
SPVD
minor, and
_
I read some fucked up
Good
fanfiction
joke.
she made, because,
Over.
well, I like Lily, might as well engage with her other content. Yeah, I want this fucker gone off all platforms, more than anything. So, we now have a second testimony by one of Lily's victims, this time someone who was groomed into perceiving sexual acts between minors and adults to be normal through Lily's usage of children's IPs to lure minors into her hypersexualized environment. When I first read this testimony, I assumed that they had seen our video and realized how closely it described their experience, due to how well it highlights everything we discussed
Valord
regarding
Coward.
Lily Orchard's predatory behavior.
At
But it
SPVD_
wasn't.
should
This
check
was an
out
analysis
Chili's other
arrived
works.
at by
He
one
makes
of Lily
really
Orchard's
good art.
victims, completely
Over.
independent.
Oh, I also make animations too. You can check me out on Newgrounds or YouTube. I need to upload some sketches to fucking whatchamacallit. Me bloody. What's it? DeviantArt. And some for physics. It's kind of why I'm also streaming on YouTube. I'm multi-streaming. But yeah, I'm kind of a jack of all trades. I do regular some gaming stuff, some animation. This is horrifically outdated. I might get rid of this. Go put that in the mausoleum. But yeah, I've got animations, music, videos, rants, all sorts of crap. That should be in the mausoleum too. This should be out there. Oh no, wait, it is because I'm viewing it on my account, so it'll have everything. Never mind. Some of the stuff's outdated and kind of irrelevant, so I might go shove that somewhere. Point is, I make a lot of crap. And yeah, here's my Newgrounds. If you want the stuff I'm truly proud of, I put a lot of effort into, it's all on my Newgrounds. Because Newgrounds is the best. God, look at that. September 2020 update. Fuck me, it is a hell of a lot outdated. Well, I really need to get back into shit. Yeah, we got all sorts of fucking artwork. This is one I did recently. This was for the 2022 Secret Santa art trade. Or 2023, sorry. I can't read. Nice little piece I did there. I like the use of shading. I can't help but feel I could do a lot better with the shading though. I'm gonna have to try some new techniques sometime.
Valor
That's all for
Coward.
another time.
It looks good. Over.
But like a true artist, it is never good in my eyes. But there we go, mate. Otherwise, yeah, I do streams as well. Mostly just watching all sorts of crazy shit on the internet. For example, like a lot of lolcow stuff. We do love our weirdos on the internet.
Of our work. And it lays waste to Lily's go-to argument, that there's no way a minor would sext her as a result of the environment she's created, because reasons. We are not talking high probability anymore. We now have confirmation of everything we warned about in said video regarding Lily Orchard's usage of children's content to lure minors into sexual environments as part of a means to groom them. There is nowhere for Lily Orchard to run after this, nor her supporters. If it hasn't already been established by the rest of the evidence by this point, this testimony shows that to defend Lily Orchard is simply to throw in your lot with a sexual predator who targets minors. Sadly, this also reinforces the fear myself and Levi had regarding certain posts, like those in which Lily told her audience, minors like Mackenzie was at the time included, that sending her nudes is a safe way to explore their sexuality, and that she pinky swears to delete them all afterwards. Again, Lily Orchard supporters have argued that her post to Tumblr couldn't possibly be influencing the behavior of minors in her audience, but here we have first-hand testimony that proves otherwise. Something we discuss, which Mackenzie touches on, is the way Lily Orchard is using children's IPs to create her own materials, directly normalizing child sexual abuse, like her Stockholm series. This further strengthens the connection we discussed, the way in which Lily Orchard's choice of subjects is...
Oh yeah, so this is how I first learned about Lily Orchard. Through her My Little Pony fanfiction called Stockholm. That involves a lot of incest, a lot of rape, and a nice little dash of pedophilia sprinkled in for good measure, eh? Adds that zest, you know? I guess because I'm kind of going on a stint of lolcows that have really bad art, mostly in the form of writing. But yeah, we were watching a bit on Shadiversity as well lately. But Lily Orchard is a hell of a lot more sus, so I've been getting some. She's piqued my interest, so to say.
Isn't merely accidental, but deliberate. Children's IPs are how she lures in minors and desensitizes them to her sexual appetite. We do plan to do a literary analysis of Stockholm at a later date, work that is best described as child sexual abuse apologia, shoddily disguised as a fanfic, and we also plan to cover how Lily Orchard has recycled entire story beats from Stockholm into both Poke Madhouse and Tale of the Valkyrie. There's even a particular scene in Poke Madhouse which is identical to Stockholm's climax between Rainbow Dash and Sweetie Belle, with both stories using said scene to paint Lily and her self-insert as the sympathetic victim of the children who want to fuck her, and insist that she is apparently doing her best to fight her urges. I wish I were exaggerating. For now, however, I'd just like to prove definitively that Lily Orchard wrote the Stockholm series, since she now denies it, as seen in this 2016 clip taken from her video. Josh tries to silence criticism with legal threats, is mocked.
But the reality is that this will most definitely be fought, especially since Josh has actually tried to defame me numerous times, going as far as to distribute child pornography on Twitter that he grabbed from likely any random story off FimFiction and claiming Lily made that, trust me.
Indeed, this has become the mantra over the last 6 years, with many of Lily's newer fans going so far as to use her victims referencing Stockholm as evidence to discredit their testimony on her word alone. Sadly for Lily, this is not the only video at my disposal. For you see, whilst Lily has attempted to scrub any acknowledgement of Stockholm from her channel, others have archived some of those videos. Take, for example, Lily's 2014 Halloween Glass of Water special, The Grandmother of Grimdark.
When I started this series, I had every intention on doing something special for Halloween, and nothing could be better than taking a truly bizarre and messed up fanfic and picking through it like an amphetamine-fueled chimp. But which one? There's so many. Fallout Equestria? That's too long. Fall of Equestria? No. Equestrian Pony Meat Business? I think I'll break my rating limits. Can't do Stockholm, I wrote that one. But then I thought, what about that one, Jerry? The one that started this whole trend of grimdark fanfiction. Can't do Stockholm, I wrote that one. Can't do Stockholm, I wrote that one. Can't do Stockholm, I wrote that one.
Thing is, this is not the only video in which she discusses her
Shrimp
Stockholm
fry syrup.
series.
You
In
see,
Lily's
Papa
Glass of
Meat
Water
is gonna do
episode,
something
Mummy
with
Daglio
Jontron.
equals Alicorns,
Over.
which originally...
Oh, nah. I did. Last I heard of Papa Meat was he was hopping aboard the bandwagon with their I'm quitting YouTube that a bunch of YouTubers have gone on. We got John Scott, we got Papa Meat, we got the Game Theory guy, which really boils down to them not quitting at all. It's just that they're gonna, you know, reinvest their time into other projects. That's about it. But I haven't fucking tuned into Papa Meat in ages. But yeah, I guess I have heard that he's working on other projects, moving away from just the short form animation.
Aired on the 24th of May 2015, Lily boasts about her ability to write characters whilst displaying images of both Stockholm, the Razzle Dazzle, and Stockholm, the Dash family on screen at 2 separate points in the video.
As a writer of both original fiction and fanfiction, I have a habit of always using OCs. I created a character that ended up being paired with Twilight, still wasn't called a Mary Sue. There's an alternate version of her that's a bigger boobie than Fluttershy, still wasn't called a Mary Sue.
So when Mackenzie states that Lily Orchard wrote Stockholm, again, just as with various points from Glaz's testimony, this is supported by secondary evidence I have been able to source independently. This is important to point out, since, again, this has become part of the mythology Lily Orchard has invented surrounding her critics, with her routinely citing that people point to the fact that she wrote Stockholm as evidence of stalking and harassment, something that can be seen in the following clip taken from her most recent Glass of Water episode. The Harley Quinn show is amazing. Pay close attention to the visuals she has flash on screen during the music segment.
I finally decided to just give it a watch one day when I was bored and laying in bed and thinking about the sheer dread of being a terminally stalked and harassed content creator who people will always take stabs at for sadistic glee no matter how much time has passed. And you know what? It was quite good.
So Lily Orchard displays a picture of her avatar on screen with bold white text which reads, "I did not write Stockholm, in spite of this being demonstrably false." And if you're one of the people who has always believed her until just now, I ask you to consider, what else is Lily Orchard lying to you about? What else has become part of her constructed mythology? Now, that's a rabbit hole you'll have to travel down alone, Just keep this in mind and don't trust the words of a proven liar like Lily Orchard. Another thing worth mentioning now, since Mackenzie brought Stockholm up, is just how smug Lily Orchard feels when it comes to her getting away with having written it. One of the videos we mentioned in our previous expose, MLP fanfic reading YouTubers post child pornography for years unnoticed, uses this image as its thumbnail. Now, this image might appear strangely familiar, and that's because you've already seen said image during this video. This is fan art of Rainbow Dash, specifically from Lily Orchard Stockholm, as seen in the previously discussed Glass of Water episode, The Grandmother of Grimdark. It's the image Lily Orchard puts on screen while saying,
Can't do Stockholm, I wrote that one.
These images are identical, which begs the question, why would Lily risk having this called out considering how hard she goes on said materials in her MLP fanfic video? Reminder that this was how she spoke about such content, not merely as morally wrong, but illegal.
Now, pornographic readings of fanfics are already against YouTube's own terms of service, but their behavior crossed the boundary into being highly illegal the moment they started reading out child pornography. Both seem to be in full awareness of the illegality of their actions, to the point that they started actively lampshading it in the titles and descriptions of their readings. This is the kind of normalizing behavior I was talking about. You see, when I started mass condemning this shit in the wake of the Toon Critic scandal and highlighting that the brony community has a dangerously flirty relationship with pedophilia, I was met with a lot of well actuallys from bronies of all stripes who tried to argue that it's a story, they're fictional and not human and blah blah blah, and they argued that this was all okay because of all of that. On the other hand, there were just as many people who turned around and went, wait, what? Because they sincerely weren't aware that this kind of material was on the same moral and legal level as photorealistic child pornography. And it's easy for many people to not be aware of this because the people who run most of the fandom's websites and act as the fandom's figureheads have been misinforming them as such the entire time.
All of what she just said applies to Stockholm, and just to be clear, that doesn't justify the rest of this content, rather it condemns her. So why risk people noticing? Well, it's a flex, a power play over her victims like Mackenzie. It's a very public reminder to them not only of what she's done, but what she's gotten away with. Lily Orchard created this thumbnail for the same reason some serial killers leave messages taunting their investigators. It's part of the power trip, the game as they see it. Lily Orchard grooms her audience very publicly, and yet she feels safe enough to laugh in the faces of every single one of her victims. Speaking of grooming, a few people have raised concern about my usage of said term in the previous expose, particularly in relation to our conversation regarding the ways in which Lily Orchard grooms the minors in her audience. Sad thing is, I had originally intended to go into depth about parasocial audience grooming in the previous video, but removed that section due to bloat. The video felt like it was dragging on, I wanted to keep the focus on what Lily Orchard had done and was still doing, and I felt like my usage of the term was easy to understand given the context. What's more is, whilst Glade had been groomed as a part of Lily's audience, he was also later singled out as a minor and pressured into engaging sexually with Lily on a one-to-one basis, so it didn't make as much sense to lean so heavily into the parasocial side of things. However, with Mackenzie's testimony, parasocial audience grooming is at the center of it and thus deserves further attention. Now, to be clear, I am not the person who put a name to parasocial audience grooming. That honor goes to fellow YouTuber Funday, who used the framework of parasocial relationships to discuss the ways in which Shane Dawson uses the creator/audience dynamic to manipulate underage girls, making them easier to sexually exploit. I'll be relying heavily on Corviday's work throughout this section, so be sure to check out his original video when you get the chance. Though, before we do anything, we must first define our terms, starting with what a parasocial relationship is. And to understand that, we can take a look at the words of Donald Horton and Richard Wall, published when they first introduced the concept in 1956.
Pardon? Yeah, I got some. I just didn't get that much.
I'd just like to apologize in advance for the unnecessary gendering. Their paper reads, one of the striking characteristics of the new mass media, radio, television, and the movies, is that they give the illusion of face-to-face relationship with the performer. the most remote and illustrious men are met, as if they were in the circle of one's peers. The same is true of a character in a story who comes to life in these media in an especially vivid and arresting way. We propose to call the seeming face-to-face relationship between spectator and performer a parasocial relationship. They also go on to add that the persona offers, above all, a continuing relationship. His appearance is a regular and dependable event, to be counted on, planned for, and integrated into the routines of daily life. His devotees live with him and share the small episodes of his public life, and to some extent, even of his private life away from the show. Indeed, their continued association with him acquires a history, and the accumulation of shared past experiences gives additional meaning to the present performance. This bond is symbolized by illusions that lack meaning for the casual observer and appear occult to the outsider. In time, the devotee, the fan, comes to believe that he knows the persona more intimately and profoundly than others do, that he understands his character and appreciates his values and motives. Now, since the 1950s, parasocial relationships have gone on to establish themselves as real relationships, both in psychology and media studies. They're just not relationships in the traditional sense, since the flow of information is largely one-sided, moving from the creator to the audience member, something that is known as a parasocial interaction. That's what's happening right now. I am talking in this video, and it appears as if I'm talking to you personally, yet you can't talk back to me. That is an example of a parasocial interaction, and when repeated under the right...
But this is a social interaction. Hi, chat. I mean, I guess you could say it's a kind of parasocial relationship in that I'm talking directly to you and you can only type. But still, there is some level of direct
Valord
engagement.
Coward. Hi, Chili.
Hey, how's it going?
Over.
Don't forget to hop in my ice cream van. Hey, come on, kiddies. It's free ice cream. No pedophiles in here. Just cop on in. No adults, no police.
LOL.
By conditions like those discussed by Horton and Wall, those parasocial interactions can lead you, the audience member, to form an emotional connection to the persona, or the content creator in Lily Orchard's case, turning said interactions into a parasocial relationship. And these parasocial relationships can become incredibly strong. Just look at stan culture and the way people will defend celebrities who aren't even aware of their existence, sometimes violently. This is, in part, because their parasocial relationship feels almost identical to any other relationship. Moving on to child grooming, the National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children defines child grooming as when someone builds a relationship, trust, and emotional connection with a child or young person so they can manipulate, exploit, and abuse them. Now, it's important to note that the dynamic of this relationship doesn't have to be romantic, as is most often portrayed by the media. Said dynamic can also be that of a mentor, an authority figure, or a dominant and persistent figure. Any of these dynamics can be exploited. We can also take a look at some of the patterns seen across real-life cases of grooming, with forensic psychiatrist Dr. Michael Wellner dividing child sexual grooming into 6 general stages: targeting the victim, often looking for minors with emotional vulnerability; gaining the victim's trust, so building that emotional bond; fulfilling a need, so making the victim dependent on their groomer; isolating the victim, so gaining access to the victim specifically alone; abuse, which includes sexualizing the relationship; and lastly, maintaining control, ensuring that the victim doesn't seek support. It's also worth noting that our understanding of grooming has evolved and is still evolving, particularly with the advent of new technology such as the internet. That's why the NSPCC goes out of its way to stress that children and young people can be groomed online, in person, or both, by a stranger or someone they know, before going on to add that grooming can have both short and long-term effects. The impact of grooming can last a lifetime, no matter whether it happened in person, online, or both. They say this because, for years, online grooming wasn't taken as seriously as in-person grooming, with any focus online grooming received being about cases in which the predator later arranged to meet with their victim. The harm caused to victims in digital spaces was largely ignored. Now, hopefully those watching this video know better, but it's a misconception that still persists. Hence, the NSPCC has to spend valuable time dispelling the myth that online grooming isn't as impactful as other forms. Because sadly, whilst abusers are very often quick to adapt to and exploit new technology, society has a long and sordid history of lagging behind when it comes to acknowledging the issue and supporting victims. A similar thing has been taking place recently surrounding the discussion of whether adults can be victims of grooming, which, yes, just so we're clear, they can and are. Point is, we don't know everything about grooming, and if our preconceived notions of the term leave out large groups of people who go through the same experiences and suffer the same trauma, then it is our understanding that is wrong, not those people's lived experiences. But bringing things back to Lily Orchard, whilst these materials are discussing what we might consider typical grooming, grooming which singles out an individual, what I'll be referring to as targeted grooming from this point forward, there's nothing here that intrinsically excludes parasocial audience grooming. The same was true of every single resource I could lay my hands on, and even the definition supplied to me by the people who questioned my usage of the term. So where does that leave us? Well, we can go through the qualities discussed in relation to targeted grooming and see whether they're mirrored in what Lily Orchard has done. Starting with whether or not Lily Orchard builds a relationship, trust, and an emotional connection with her audience, allowing her to exploit said connections to enable her abuse. As previously established, parasocial relationships are a form of relationship and are therefore just as exploitable by predators as any other relationship. In fact, I'd argue that the one-way nature of parasocial relationships lends itself to specific power dynamics, such as the mentor and authority dynamics. As for trust and other strong emotional connections, just consider the last time you discovered that someone you liked, an actor, a musician, or even a politician, turned out to be abusive or bigoted. How did that make you feel? It made you feel violated, didn't it? Personally betrayed. Well, that sense of betrayal only...
Well, not really. I kind of expect it nowadays. Just do the whoop. Guess we're done here. Pull the plug. Either that or, ooh, there's more to this, and then dig further. Yes, skeletons. Bring me more closet skeletons.
Exists because of pre-existing emotional connection, a connection which includes trust. No trust, no sense of personal betrayal.
Valord coward.
Returning to Lily
LOL,
Orchard
imagine
and the
caring
dynamic
if
she
some
has with
random
her
stranger
audience,
turned
she
out to be a
routinely
piece
gives
of
her
shit.
audience advice on things
Over.
such as writing or dealing with abusive or bigoted behavior, assuming the mentoring role via her platform. She also presents herself as an authority figure on various topics, including how to hold child predators accountable. It was this role that allowed her to exploit Glade. The reason he watched the stream, even though Lily Orchard didn't give a clear answer, the reason he joined Lily Orchard's Discord server in the first place was because of the trust
Same
Lily
boat
Orchard
as you,
had
Chili.
formed with
I only
Glade
care if
through
it's
her
funny
work
these days.
such as blame
Over.
and groom. She was an authority to Glade, someone he could trust, and she exploited that to lure him into a sexual situation. As for the stages of grooming, when it comes to targeting her victims, this is what we discussed at length in our previous video regarding Lily Orchard's branding, the IPs she touches on, and the topics she covers. Lily Orchard not only targets minors, but specifically vulnerable minors, minors who have been bullied, rejected for being LGBT+, or previously abused, like Glade. These are all traits that lend themselves to emotional neediness, isolation, and low self-confidence, all of which are qualities Dr. Michael Wellner lists as making for prime targets. That means that, when it comes to gaining their trust, Lily Orchard achieves this in large part by showing her audience her righteous anger towards those who have harmed them, in spite of never having spoken to them directly. Because when she's ranting about bullies, it feels like she's ranting about your bullies. When she's ranting about abusive parents, it feels like she's ranting about your abusive parents. And she's making out that she, alone in this world, has your back. She also does this whilst offering her audiences glimpses into her life, trusting them with these little peeks behind the curtain that makes them feel like they know her, which, as noted by Gorton Wall, is something that builds trust, forming a strong parasocial emotional bond. What's more is, both of these things lend themselves to fulfilling a need, with Lily's work offering a form of intimate catharsis that many people, minors particularly, can't get anywhere else. We live in a queer music society that normalizes and protects abusers whilst often punishing their victims for speaking out. For many in her audience, Lily Orchard is the first and perhaps only person who appears to reject the status quo. This hooks the vulnerable minors in her audience, making them reliant on what Lily Orchard has to say, with them hanging on to her every word, her every post, her every video. It also makes them less likely to turn towards family members or other adults in their life, since they're often part of the problem. Not only have they failed to act on the rest of the injustices the minor has suffered, if not inflicting some themselves, but Lily Orchard has come along and shown these minors what uncompromising support can look like. At least, in theory, since it's actually all for show. Lily Orchard doesn't actually offer what she promises, but it's as close as many minors receive to such support. Then, as more and more people gather, a community begins to form. Lily Orchard's brand, her name, her life, becomes the central anchor for disenchanted minors from all over the world. Minors who end up talking to one another, helping one another, becoming friends, and fulfilling a much larger need, a sense of community. Now, when it comes to isolating her victim, that is gaining access to her audience, that's pretty much guaranteed via the method of targeting Lily Orchard users. She isn't out there messaging her victims one by one, she's putting on a show, luring them to her. Now, this isn't new. Predators have been known to use the promise of reward to lure children to them for, well, as long as we've recorded grooming as a crime. The only things that have changed are the scale and nature of that reward. As for being alone with her victims, most parents do not keep track of who their child watches on YouTube. In fact, many parents seem to be operating under the assumption that there's some
Valord
sort
coward.
of vetting process for
Just
YouTube,
got that
and
stuck
Google,
in your head, I
which
guess.
to them is just
Okay.
a massively
Over.
successful company, will protect their children for them. The truth, meanwhile, is that Lily Orchard has access to said children, even when they're in the apparent safety of their own room, and most parents are none the wiser. This, in turn, allows Lily Orchard to
Look, it's a catchy
sexualize the
song.
relationship, which is the other part.
In fact, you know what? One more time. Yeah! It's catchy as fuck. I don't know what to tell you.
Valord Howard. LOL, here we go. Over.
Well, I'm a piece of white trash living in the suburbs, working minimum wage cause I'm dumber than a turd. Dropped out of 5th grade, living on welfare. I don't have an ID, but I don't really care. I couldn't find a job, it really was quite tiring, and then I saw an ad. Ice cream man now hiring. I took my mother's minivan, that stolen piece of crap. Boom, my minivan.
Focused on in our previous expose,
Yeah.
the way Lily Orchard creates a hypersexualized environment to desensitize her victims through exposure. This is also what is at the center of Mackenzie's testimony, the way in which Lily Orchard's constant sexualizing of children's content and spaces branded for children erodes their defenses, normalizing sexual interactions between minors and adults. What's more is, there's method in the places Lily Orchard conducts said sexualizing and to what degree. Because yes, whilst Lily Orchard does prompt her audience to make sexual comments in her on-streams which are not age restricted, her YouTube channel is kept relatively clean, at least regarding the public side of things. The bulk of Lily Orchard's sexual content, including links to her more sexual streams, are kept to both her Tumblr and her Discord, places where the casual viewer is less likely to tread, ensuring that those who join said spaces already have some degree of bond and or dependence on her. And this is where Lily Orchard begins to advertise the possibility of one-to-one sexual interaction, to tell the minors in her audience that sending her nudes is a safe way to explore their sexuality. Now, the last part in all of this is maintaining control, which Lily Orchard does very effectively as an authority figure. She routinely comes down on members of her own audience with her full fury for minor infractions, something that is very quickly picked up by newer members of her community and is constantly playing at the backs of their minds. This is something Clay's testimony touched upon, with him telling us,
I was instead constantly worried about somehow breaking the vaguely worded rules and would get insta-banned from the server. So I would do everything I could to get into Lily's good graces. She posted a live stream in the server, I'd watch it and then comment on it in the server after. She said she had a story in a call. I'm the first one on it.
Reminder that, by this point, Lily Orchard has already established herself as fulfilling a need in said people's lives. She not only provides that righteous anger which is so rare in an abuse culture, she has formed a community around her brand. Both are things which are at risk from minor infractions, so the idea of doing something big, like taking a public stand or even questioning whether her actions with minors are appropriate, becomes almost unimaginable. This is the power of the Lily Orchard mind prison, though it goes beyond public displays of retribution. Another method Lily Orchard has is creating a false consciousness by selectively allowing positively loaded questions on her Tumblr anytime there's a new controversy. This acts twofold. It presents Lily Orchard as not being afraid of questioning, in spite of her refusal to engage with a non-strawman version of any given issue, and it tells members of her audience that every other Lily Orchard fan gets it, implying that any criticism, any concern they might have, is almost certainly a them issue. Now, I don't know if these messages are sent in by a particularly fervent Lily Orchard fan, or if she's sending these herself, but the end result is the same. It makes her audience members feel like they can't question Lily Orchard in the only community many of them have, because if they talk to the wrong person, word might make it back to Lily Orchard, and then it's game over. So you can't go to your family, and you can't talk about things within the community. This leaves Lily Orchard's victims three choices: speak out publicly and suffer her retribution, fade away silently, or buck up and try to ignore the issue. Many pick the last option. Now, these are not the only ways Lily Orchard can be seen to carry out these 6 stages of grooming, but they're enough to demonstrate that yes, what Lily Orchard does to her audience does in fact mirror targeted grooming. And, as we have seen, both in Mackenzie and Glade's testimony, said parasocial audience grooming ultimately has the same impact as targeted grooming. It breaks down the victim's defenses, making it easier for the groomer to abuse them, including sexually. One thing that was missing from Corviday's analysis, in spite of him mentioning how Shane Dawson also partook in targeted grooming, is a way in which, similar to how a predator can start with online grooming before moving things offline, a predator can begin with parasocial audience grooming before later switching to targeted grooming. This is what we saw in Glade's case and how Lily Orchard built herself up as an authority on grooming who Glade could trust through her content, leading Glade to join her server, which then allowed Lily Orchard to single out and target him. The watch and find out was Lily Orchard telling Glade to trust her based on their parasocial relationship. Had Lily Orchard been some random stranger sending Glade a link, telling them to watch and find out, I doubt he would have clicked it. But it wasn't a random stranger. It was Lily Orchard, self-declared heroine of the abused. You cannot separate Glade's sexual abuse from the way he was parasocially groomed as part of an audience, and doing so fails so many victims. Because whilst Lily Orchard can't personally exploit the 9,000 plus minors who subscribe to her, and those are just the ones registered as minors, that doesn't mean they haven't been groomed. Every single minor who is a part of Lily Orchard's audience, who is exposed to her hypersexual environment, who is made to fear the repercussions of speaking out, has been groomed, making them more susceptible to future predators. So they need support, and to do that, we need to recognize what was done to them. The last thing I want to talk about, however, is the fact that none of this should have mattered. Why? Well, because both Glade and Mackenzie have used the term grooming to describe what was done to them. Putting a name to the violence you have suffered is very often the first step towards healing, at least psychologically. That means we, the people entrusted with these testimonies, need to show humility and understanding towards those sharing their trauma, even if we might disagree with some of the language they use. What we do not do is contact these victims and begin listing common examples of what a groomer might do to try and invalidate their experiences, gaslighting said victim into ignoring their instincts regarding what was done to them. We do not then go public trying to discredit the victim's experience without even considering the harm we are causing them. Such an approach is no better than going up to someone and screaming in their face, "You weren't raped unless you were penetrated by a penis," which, to be clear, has actual legal precedent in UK law, unlike people's reservations about the usage of the term grooming when discussing parasocial audience grooming. We also need to understand that when it comes to sexual abuse, people matter more than words. There is no harm caused by referring to what Lily Orchard did to her victims as grooming, so even if I couldn't demonstrate that there's no significant difference between targeted and parasocial audience grooming other than the sheer scale of the operation, policing the language of Lily Orchard's victims would still be wrong in every way imaginable. Returning to what I said earlier, society has a terrible habit of lagging behind the way abuse changes with technology, and I would rather broaden a term than berate victims for trusting their gut. When you try to force someone to doubt whether they've been groomed, you pressure them into doubting the rest of their experience, and that is something I've witnessed being done to Glade, which is horrific. We need to take a victim-led approach, and that includes allowing them to select what language they feel is most appropriate in describing what was done to them. So yeah, I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank both Glade and Mackenzie for being willing to share their testimonies. It takes an incredible amount of strength to put yourself out like that, a fact I know from personal experience. So yes, thanks to both of them. Again, I am working on a couple more videos, but I can't say for sure how many or how long they'll take to come out. I'm playing things pretty open at this point, just be patient and know we're trying our best here at Essence of Thought. If you appreciate what we do here and want to help out, please consider becoming one of our wonderful patrons who make all this possible. On that note, we'd just like to thank the following people: Matthew Kovac, Gert Van Vorst, Hannah Banghart, Spike Jones, Flynn, Higgins the Seagull, and Sosh Daniels. And for myself, Adita, and
Oh,
As
look,
a
we get an
broken clock
IRL
once
shot of
said,
Essence of
Speaking
Thought.
out against abuse fetishists, pedophiles, and bigots in your fan base will always be better in the long run than being quiet or complacent. It might be exhausting to deal with, but it's better for everyone in the long run.
So speak out I shall. Though before we can get to that, I just need to give a content warning.
You need eyeliner, man. Get some eyeliner, get some eyeshadow, alright? It'll really help your eyes pop, alright?
For the following topics: sexual assault, child abuse, child sexual assault, grooming, incest, gaslighting, victim blaming, and queerphobia. I also need to give you some background as to the pony community here on YouTube. My Little Pony is a Hasbro toy line which, similar to Transformers, was released alongside a reoccurring TV show designed to promote and sell merchandise to children. However, with the release of Friendship is Magic in 2010, My Little Pony went from generic girl toy line to cultural force. This resulted in a number of YouTube personalities, mostly adult fans of the show, amassing huge followings by discussing the media and its various themes, lessons, and characters. Now, by the time we arrive in 2015, said lineup included Josh Scorcher, aka Commander Firebrand, Lily Orchard, and Ink Rose, the three of whom worked together at the time and were considered a power trio. Though I should note that Ink Rose and Lily mostly interacted through Josh. Lily was also a fan of something known as Fire Rose, a shipping name that combined the names of Commander Firebrand and Ink Rose. In fact, she was such a fan of their ship that this led an anonymous user to ask her why on Tumblr, a question she answered with,
You want the real reason or the funny reason? Screw it, I'll give you both. Funny reason. Young Republicans who embody the kind-hearted nature that genuine family values are supposed to embody and are the spitting image of that homey American family with very few of the modern drawbacks, they are likely the very last of their kind. I'm pretty sure there are zoologists out there who are legally obligated to try and get them to breed. Real reason. The two of them have the exact same values, the exact same traditions, and the exact same virtues and vices. That's not just a silly ship. I actually said to Josh that he and Ink Rose were practically made for each other. And if this ship becomes canon, I will have the most smug I told you so face in the history of smug I told you so faces.
But she's underage.
She won't be for very long. Also, I wrote a book where a 15-year-old ran off with a 38-year-old, and you all thought it was lovely. So let he who is without sin cast the first stone.
Is conked on the head by a rock.
Ow! Damn it, Josh.
A post which only survives today, thanks to Josh having reposted it on the 3rd of August 2015, adding that, quote, I have no witty continuation for this. This is just funny. End quote. For those that don't know, a Pony OC, that's original character, like Commander Firebrand,
pedophilia,
is an
hilarious.
extension of the individual, same as a persona in the furry fandom. This is why Lily justifies her shipping on the basis of Josh and Rose's values as people, rather than the values of their characters. She is genuinely shipping them as people, whilst using the language of fiction to soften her words. The problem of which is, both Josh and Lily were 23 years old at the time this was posted. That means they had, at the very least, 6 years on Ink Rose, a significant age difference when one of those people is also a minor. Now, I understand the need for a close in-range exemption for the age of consent, because even if a minor were to date someone from the same year as them, unless they were born on the same day, one would age out before the other. And it's often viewed as being perfectly reasonable to have an age difference of 1 to 2 years when you're a minor, as there's not much difference in power between, say, a 17-year-old and a 16 and 15-year-old. That said, you couldn't say the same for a romantic relationship between a 17-year-old and an 11-year-old. There is a clear imbalance there. And the same goes for dealing with minors dating adults. There was a chasm of 6 years between Josh and Rose, and yet Lily felt it appropriate to downplay the fact that Ink Rose was underage, as she genuinely pushed for them to enter a romantic relationship on the basis of their real-world values. So with that issue made clear, let's begin to unpack this post, starting with the fact that this was no joke, Because in spite of the inevitable protest of people who will try to pretend that it was, Lily is very clear in telling us the exact opposite. She gives us her satirical take on the whole situation before giving us her very disturbing and yet very genuine thoughts on the two of them dating. So right off the bat, if Lily wants to say that she's not joking on a matter as serious as grooming a minor, only to go ahead and get mad when people take what she says seriously, the only person she can blame is herself. Her job is communication. This is what she does for a living. That said, some people might turn to the slapstick as an argument that both
Restream
responses were
bot.
a joke. So
YouTube.
I'd ask you to
B.
consider the
Hendrix.
focus of
The
the
real-life
slapstick.
Transformers
It's not
cartoon
the
humans in
relationship that Lily is
disguise.
pushing for.
Over.
The focus is on people's criticism of her forwarding that relationship, specifically the fact that one of the people involved is underage. It's intended to defang the accusation of grooming by...
You ever wonder what happens to a person if they're like sitting in the driver's seat of a transformer
Valord
while they're a
coward.
vehicle?
LMAO, holy fuck, that's funny.
And then they transform.
Over.
Because that actually happens a couple... I remember that happening in like the old 90s show. Sometimes they'd be sitting in like the cockpit and then the transformer would transform, and I was always like, wouldn't they get like fucking minced? Humans in disguise.
presenting it as a joke, something to be laughed at as she continues to ship an adult with a minor. Through her posturing, Lily is presenting grooming as this quirky thing that some people personally dislike, rather than abusive behavior that needs to be dealt with. Yet sadly, this is not by any means the only method Lily is reliant on when it comes to downplaying her actions. Consider the "she won't be for long" remark that Lily deploys in response to someone hypothetically mentioning Ink Rose's underage. This is a quintessential example of the jailbait wait, a media trope in which a character waits for their love interest to reach the age of consent, being applied in real life. Now, the problem with this perspective is that it lacks a fundamental understanding of what grooming is and how it works. Child grooming is not the act of sexually assaulting minors. It refers to a series of methods designed to dismantle the defenses a minor has in preparation for sexual assault, a large part of which is the normalization of the act, whether it be through slowly exposing a minor to touching or downplaying the horror behind encouraging a minor to engage in a relationship with an adult. And that grooming does not vanish the moment a person turns 18. This is why vertical incest between someone and their parents, aunts and uncles, or grandparents, is so wrong. Because even if a person is over the age of 18, they've grown up with these people having authority over them. This is why feminists took issue with Jacob imprinting on a literal fucking infant in the Twilight Saga. Because even if you were to wait for that minor to become an adult, the power imbalance that had existed prior to her reaching that age...
I never knew pedophilia was a part of Twilight. Yeah, nice. They got the whole shebang. We got necrophilia, we got bestiality, and pedophilia. Nice.
...would have continued to impact their relationship. The same is true for Josh and Ink Rose. Another method Lily utilizes is implicating her audience in her actions, reminding them that she wrote a book where a 15-year-old ran off with a 38-year-old and you all thought it was lovely. She's making out that it's in her audience's best interest to defend her as she offers up a real minor for grooming, because condemning real-life grooming raises the possibility that condoning fictional grooming is also unacceptable. There's also a sense of gradual commitment being used here to pull her audience further along by appealing to their human desire for consistency. Psychology has shown us that it's not only possible, but actually very easy to get someone who would consider themselves a morally upstanding person to commit horrific acts if approached in the right manner. The go-to example of this being the Milgram experiments that showed us how upward of 60% of US citizens were capable of being pushed to murder someone that they just met if gradually eased into things. So it's very conceivable for someone who would have rejected the jump from child grooming is not okay to child grooming is okay to go from child grooming is not okay to child grooming in fiction is okay, and then go on further to child grooming is okay. Even though the excuse given for child grooming in fiction, namely that it involves fictional characters, is mutually exclusive with the argument given later. Lily has created an intermediary, which she then uses to demand consistency, giving her a very strong psychological lever. Now, I was shocked when Levi pointed out this appeal to consistency, because it actually supports something I've discussed in relation to the dangers of fictional child porn. Something I've been big on is not over focusing on the possibility that fictional child porn creates new predators, since the science on that is inconclusive. Instead, I focus on how it grooms minors into thinking that them being sexualized is normal, harms survivors of childhood sexual assault by triggering them, creates communities in which predators can hide and form rank, and lastly, the way in which it normalizes the act of grooming and even child sexual assault in the eye of the public. And it's that last one we're seeing here. Lily is very consciously using her own child rape fanfics to normalize the real-life act of grooming in her audience's mind. On top of this, her language of "you all thought it was lovely" is her constructing a public, one of Lily's favorite rhetorical methods. When she says this, she's signaling to all of her fans who weren't okay with this, or more likely didn't know about it, that they're alone. And since Lily has made it her job to publicly abuse people, particularly members of her own audience, for any number of arbitrary reasons, nobody is going to go from fan to fan asking how they really feel about the matter. I cannot overstate just how afraid many of her own audience is of approaching her, even to tell her about stuff that wasn't their fault, because they know there's a high probability that they will be publicly dragged for it. And because we're a social species predisposed to conform, it's much easier to just nod your head and accept what Lily says to be true, establishing her as the arbiter of truth. And this feeds back into the gradual commitment, since one component of ensuring the success of gradual commitment is having the person responsible appear to be an authority. The way this was done in the Milgram experiments was through the appearance of science. The people giving the orders to steadily increase the voltage were dressed in white lab coats and stationed in laboratories. Though, when it comes to Lily, she doesn't need all that, since she's cultivated this false impression of a public in which everyone thinks like her. That's why she never feels the need to source any of her assertions, because her word is taken as law. Lastly, we come to her satirical quip about Josh and Ink being endangered animals who need to be bred in order to survive. Even though this is clearly part of a joke, it sets the tone for the rest of her post. She is not simply talking about a romantic relationship, she is talking about sex. That's why Lily follows this up with the fact that Ink Rose is underage in her serious answer. What's more is, we don't typically think of animals as being able to consent. That's a framework that just doesn't exist in our minds. Instead, which zoo animals are bred together is chosen by a team of caretakers. So, by making that comparison, Lily is stripping away the framework of consent as it applies to Ink Rose. This post is Lily not only normalizing grooming, but statutory rape as well. So it is thoroughly fucked up. However, it's still only a small part of the picture. We also have to consider things beyond this post, including the fact that Fire Rose was a fandom-wide phenomenon. Hell, in 2014, Josh and Ink appeared in a video together hosted by Dr. Wolf, in which they talked about themselves as a couple. Now, some people may be quick to argue that this whole thing has been blown out of proportion, since the top comment on that video is Inkrose explaining that their relationship is strictly fictional. But here's the thing. Enough people thought that the relationship between an adult and a minor was genuine, that this had to be clarified. That's how much the lines were already blurred by this point, that people were genuinely having difficulty telling which parts were real and which parts were pretend.
Restream bot.
And it's at that point that Lily
YouTube.
came along
Bunker
and
housing.
argued that
Hello.
Fire
Just
should
finishing
be
my
more
lunch.
than
Nated
fiction.
to tip you
That
off of a
Josh
very
and
fun
Ink
clip you can't
should
watch
have a
later. It is
very
nerdrotic about
real,
Disney's latest
romantic,
woke flop.
and
It is
even-
1750 long.
Gay!
Over. Restream bot.
Gay!
YouTube. Bunker housing. Echo is awful. Marvel goes off the reservation.
Fucking
Over.
gay!
Restream bot. YouTube. Bunker housing. You can watch it later. It is funny Kilerois.
I'm not.
M9J9
Sorry, Bunker.
Over.
I'm not watching that. One, I'm not gonna listen to some fucking comic book fag cry that we can't go back to the good old days. Two, everyone knows Disney is shit. If you have not figured out that Disney
Restream
is fucking
bot.
awful, you need help.
YouTube. Bunker housing. What is gay?
Nerderotic.
Over.
One, Nerderotic is fucking gay. Two, Disney is fucking gay. I'm not gonna watch both in one go. Absolutely not.
Sexual relationship. That blurring...
That is less gay than what we are watching about, which is two trannies going at it about child porn.
Restream bot. YouTube. Bunker housing. You not like nerdrotic. He is very funny. They makes really funny edits.
No, I
Over.
don't. I am not interested in
Restream
listening to an
bot.
adult man cry about
YouTube.
how oppressed
Bunker
he is
housing.
because
Well,
he doesn't
okay,
like
take care.
comics.
Over.
Have a good one, Bunker. I'm not watching Nerderotic. No.
laid the groundwork for more severe forms of grooming, and every adult who was present at the time is responsible for that. Can we imagine what being in that situation must have been like for Inkrose? Imagine the immense pressure placed on her to engage in a potentially sexual relationship with an adult by an entire community. A community she not only belongs to, but works within. Many of the people pushing this are those she likely respects as fellow creators, making it very difficult to ignore what it is they're saying. Add in the fact that many of them are adults, a group she's been used to listening to and assuming know best for her entire life. She's likely been threatened or punished for defying the adults in her life, both at school and at home. Even if she's never really come into contact with that dynamic, that's likely because she understands the power imbalance between a child and an adult, and is someone who has followed instructions without much fuss in the past. So either way, she's at a clear disadvantage, as she doesn't really have the power to protect herself or self-advocate. As a minor, she's also likely had very little, if any, experience with relationships, romantic or sexual. Combine that with the peer pressure coming from an entire community and the inability to properly self-advocate, being confronted with all that would have been incredibly intimidating for her. If she put a foot wrong in the eyes of those pushing fire rows, she's not only faced with the prospect of being ostracized by her community, but reprimanded by various adults. And if you don't believe me, consider that it almost worked. Inkrose went on a real-life date with Josh at some point, after years of being groomed and pressured into doing so as a minor. And it very well could have continued if Josh hadn't started dating someone else in 2017. And before someone says that this is reference to his character Firebrand, not Josh as a person, just look at that Team Fortress roleplay. No, he actually got engaged to Ari in 2018, and the two later married. In light of that, I have no reason to think the relationship stuff in this paragraph is roleplay. Inkrose was groomed by an entire fandom, some of whom went further in that regard than others, and she barely avoided becoming trapped. But this will still have a lasting impact on how she as a person engages with others around her, because That's like dismantling a person's defenses will cause. For
there
example,
we go.
it makes a person
Shading's
more
done.
susceptible to future abuse. Whilst the term grooming is
Well, at least for
typically
one of them.
limited to child grooming, at least in a legal context, the methods used can help us understand how people such as domestic abusers can control their
Oh, that
victims
was a big stretch.
through
Ooh,
a
I've got
means
cramps in me
of
back
adult
now.
grooming.
Ooh.
After all, they both share common themes of normalization through gradual exposure, isolation, gaslighting, etc. And it's much easier to do
Valord
these
coward.
things if someone has already done
GG.
part of the work for you.
Over.
That's why re-victimization is so common
Valord
when
coward.
it comes to things like
Love
abuse
it.
and sexual assault.
Over.
Because
That's
the
good to hear,
victim
my friend.
now has those defenses eroded on a deep psychological level.
Alright, I guess we'll finish
Site
this
which
video.
requires massive amounts
And
of
then we'll pack
time
up.
and support to repair. Sadly,
I need to do
many
lol
people
cow videos.
don't
That's
have
what I need to
access
do.
either. And that's like predators.
We need to go build the pantheon of heroes. Alright?
But it goes even further than that, since Inkros was not the only minor exposed to all this grooming. Every single child who is part of the
Especially because there's very
Valord
little.
coward. Yes.
There's
Over.
surprisingly few like lolcow content that's just having fun. A lot of it's like fucking finger wagging shit. Like, oh, look at this person, he's a bad person. Look how much better I am. Let's all wag our finger at them. That's fucking annoying. You know, we're just pointing and laughing at someone for being a lolcow. You know, why is everything got to be a big fucking wank job?
Valord coward.
Yet, what's rather
A lot of it
scary
is
about
either
this
finger
entire
wagging or a
thing
log shit.
is that our laws aren't
Over.
equipped to handle parasocial grooming. But, as history has gone to show us, legal does not mean ethical. And we haven't even considered the impact this will have in how young people perceive success in the MLP fandom, in how they might draw a connection between dating an adult pony YouTuber and success. Because whilst Inkros clearly worked hard to establish herself, there's no doubt that Fire Rose helped both her and Josh grow their audiences. So it's not just normalization, there's a potential lure involved. The proverbial candy inside the van. Now
I am the ice cream man.
need to be clear in that I don't hold Inkros the slightest bit responsible
Valord
for this
coward.
in any way.
LOL.
As a minor, it was
Over.
not her responsibility to put an end to things, but it was that of the adults around her. Yet instead of stepping forward to do the right thing, every adult creator seemed set on promoting, accommodating, or simply turning away and ignoring the issue. And in doing that, they all
Valord
became
coward.
responsible
Oh,
for
but
mass
question,
child grooming
how much
via
work you got left on the
parasocial
pic?
relationships.
Over.
I think maybe another 2 or 3 days. Because we just gotta do the shading on this one, and then these two will just be base colors, and I can just put the base colors for this and copy them over to that. I'm not gonna bother shading these. But yeah, should be done in maybe a day or two. Or well, 2 or 3 days, hopefully 2.
Valord coward. Okay, just let me know the payment.
Ah, yeah, no worries,
Over.
bud. Sorry, I'm really starting to vibe Ravenous without her armor. Yeah. Yeah. Low riding pants and tight singlet, yeah. Ooh, and those muscles, yeah.
Valord coward. It's really good. Over.
I want those huge fucking twin-linked autocannons on top. Oh yeah. Alright, let's go finish the video so I can get to bed.
Ships. Which brings me to my
Valord
last
coward.
point. How the source
Ravenous
of behavior...
page right piece next. Over.
Yeah, buddy. We could do that for the Picardo streams over the weekend. I think after I finish this, get payment for you, I gotta go pay off the rego for my car. And then I wanna finish off the game has incredible new announcement. I'll have to do the voice acting for that. And when I go to do the voice acting for that, I'll probably do it tomorrow or some shit. I'll go do the voice acting for the next point of view interaction with the courier. The next one's gonna be the Papa Khan one. Point of view, you name the courier your heir.
is self-replicating. If enough adults seem okay with grooming, going along with it, or even downplaying the harm
Valord coward.
caused, that
But I was
teaches
gonna
other adults
ask if
to
the
do the
majority of the payment can maybe wait till next Monday.
Yeah, not worries.
Over.
same, since adults are not immune to conformity. And this is true whether or not a person is a predator themselves, because, to be clear, I don't believe everyone wrapped up in this is a predator.
I mean, the rego is like $800. I got the money for it, but I'm also waiting for the job seeker payment to come through so I can soften the fucking dent it's gonna leave a bit with that. And then obviously your payment for the commission, that should help not fully plug in the hole, but at least, you know, cover the deepest parts of that hole.
Except for Josh. They're simply aiding and abetting predatory behavior. And as a self-replicating system, the problem only gains more momentum the longer it's allowed to exist. Like a runaway train, we seriously need to derail. And Lily is at the head of it. What makes her particularly dangerous is how she's presenting herself as being anti-pedophile. As shown at the start, Lily is walking around claiming to be a bastion of safety for groomed minors and victims of childhood sexual assault. The result of which is pre-groomed children who are especially vulnerable for the same reasons as touched upon in regards to ink rows, are being funneled towards Lily. Which is a problem, since whilst I hold off declaring
Valord
everyone
coward.
involved a predator,
But I
most of
can
them
send you
simply being willing to accommodate and
$125
defend
as
them,
is. But I am kind
I
of
am
low on my
almost
fuck
certain
around funds.
Lily
Yeah, no worries.
is.
Over.
No worries,
Lily
bro.
not only has a history of encouraging the grooming of minors,
Again, I got the money to cover it. It's not that big a deal. I just want some more shit to come in after I pay it off, because it's gonna leave a hell of a dent.
which is a style of grooming in itself, normalizing it, but she constantly grooms the minors in her own audience via exposure to sexually explicit content, both on her Tumblr and in her streams to this day. This is not a one-off, this is a pattern of behavior spread over an entire decade, and in many ways only becoming worse. And so we will be covering the ways in
Valord
which
coward.
she grooms minors in her
Yeah,
own
I
audience
get it,
in a second
but I
video,
don't want to drag
before we
out the
finally
payment
head on
because
to
you do
assess
such
Lily's
good work.
philosophy when it comes
Over.
to hardware.
No worries, but
Carrying
cheers.
out a textual analysis of the Stockholm series with comparisons.
But obviously, look, always prioritize your personal life first. I don't want to be biting into money that you need. You know, that's my whole thing. I don't want to bite into money you need.
To both Tale of the Valkyrie and Pokey Madhouse, because Lily is not who she pretends to be. Though I'd like to wrap up with a message, not to Lily, but those that support her. If you donate money to her, if you share her work in an uncritical manner, if you encourage others to watch her, this is what you are enabling and supporting. Regardless of your intentions, you have been aiding and abetting a paedophile, and the consequences of that have been far-reaching. So do the right thing. Stop supporting her and help make others aware of the dangers she poses. Help fix the damage you had a hand in creating. If you have any questions or criticism, do post them down below. Just know that abuse won't make it through. If you appreciate what we do here on the channel, do know you can support us via Patreon. While this video is being monetized, this is solely to boost its position in the algorithm, since it's important that this information
Valord
gets
coward.
out there. Any
Hey,
AdSense
no
money
worries,
the video
man.
makes
I
will be
appreciate
donated to a
it,
charity
but I can
related to the
shoot you that
topic,
money right
so
now if you
Patreon
want.
remains our only source of
Over.
income,
Nah,
allowing us
you
to
may
keep
as well
the
save
channel
it.
running. On that note,
I'll get you
we'd
a
like to
proper
thank the following
invoice.
people: Hannah Banghart, Matthew Kovac, Soren Katie, Keynes, Cthulhu, Gert Van Vorst, Steve Corbin, Sosh Daniels, and Justin Allen. And for myself, Udita, and Levi, take care now.
Valord coward.
Alrighty.
Alright, thanks babe. Over.
No worries, hon, eh? Hon. Don't worry, let me fill your cup for you, hon. You want some milk? You want some mommy milk? Oh, buddy, but I'm gonna have to pack up.
Valord coward.
Earlier.
LOL but GG on another stream chilly. Over.
I'm gonna go get some rest. It's 10. Just about 10:40.
Valord coward. Nighty night chilly, see you tomorrow. Over.
Go finish. Well, probably not finish, but we'll try to finish it. Just getting back into the groove of things, just getting back into exercise, getting back into content creation, all the good shit. Oh Maya, how's it going? Showed up at the worst possible time. I'm just about to pack up and head to bed. But how's it going? Actually, don't bother answering that because I gotta go. I gotta go get some rest. But hey, if it makes you feel any better, Maya, I'm starting to stream on YouTube more frequently. Probably every Monday and Friday.
Valord coward. Later.
Monday will probably be
Over.
work stuff, but on Friday we'll probably just play games. Otherwise, I'm always on fucking Kick and Twitch. Getting spam bots. We are VTuber fags together, lol. Don't you know it's all the rage right now, Maya? But hey, I'll have to catch you guys around, eh? See you next time. Bye. Not too bad. Glad to hear you again. No worries, bud. Hopefully you'll be hearing more of me. So catch you around.